The Stoics, through their deep observation and understanding of human nature, mastered the psychology of relationships, particularly when it comes to women. Their wisdom teaches us not just how to interact, but how to recognize patterns and behaviors that are crucial to navigating connections with women. In this video, we'll dive into powerful insights on female psychology, from things you should never do for a woman to revealing patterns in relationships that most men overlook. We'll also explore the subtle signs women show, from the things they say to how their bodies respond in certain situations, and even discuss traits that indicate a relationship may not be right for you. Make sure to watch until the end, as these revelations can change the way you approach your relationships forever. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts or personal stories in the comments. Let's jump right in. Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're diving into a topic that combines ancient wisdom with modern-day observations about human behavior. The Stoics, through their long, meaningful lives, mastered many areas of life, including understanding the psychology of women. They knew that human behavior often reflects deep, unconscious desires, and one fascinating realm is how a woman's body can display signs of sexual tension, especially when she hasn't been intimate for a long time. If you've ever wondered about the subtle clues that a woman's body might give off when she's attracted to someone, or if she hasn't experienced physical intimacy in a while, then stay tuned because we've got 7 intriguing signs to look for. These are physiological responses, things she might not even be aware of, but they reveal a lot about what's going on under the surface. Before we get started, make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a comment below if you've ever experienced any of these signs yourself, or if you've noticed them in someone else. And of course, share this video with your friends to spread the wisdom. Let's dive in. Chapter 1: Lip Shaking. Have you ever been in close proximity to a woman and noticed her lips start to tremble? At first glance, it might seem like a minor, almost unnoticeable gesture, but this small, subtle action can reveal a lot about what's going on inside her. According to Stoic teachings, much like the way we can find deeper meaning in the small details of life, human behavior offers many hidden truths if we know where to look. A woman's lips quivering is often a sign of nervous energy, excitement, or even deep attraction. In particular, when a woman hasn't experienced physical intimacy for a while, her body can unconsciously respond in ways she might not even be aware of. Why does this happen? The lips are one of the most sensitive areas of the body, densely packed with nerve endings that respond to emotions, tension, and desire. When a woman is drawn to someone but hasn't been intimate in a while, her nervous system can kick into overdrive in moments of proximity or anticipation. The result? Her lips might start to shake or tremble slightly. This reaction can be a blend of eagerness and vulnerability, two emotions that often surface when someone is attracted but feeling unsure or nervous. Think of it as her body's way of communicating what her mind is struggling to process. She might not even be aware that her lips are shaking, but it's an instinctual response to the anticipation of physical connection. This is especially true for a woman who has gone without sexual intimacy for a long time. The heightened tension within her body, combined with nervousness about getting close to someone again, can cause her to unconsciously display signs of arousal or anxiety. For women who have been out of the dating scene for a while, this lip shaking can also stem from a fear of vulnerability. They may be anxious about opening up emotionally and physically again, but at the same time, they feel a pull toward that intimacy. The trembling lips are a mixture of excitement, fear, and pent-up desire. It's a telltale sign that her body is ready to re-engage, but she's still navigating the emotions tied to that closeness. Another layer to this is the idea that physical attraction stirs certain physical responses even before a person is fully aware of them. Just like blushing when someone is embarrassed or getting goosebumps when cold, lip shaking can be a reflexive reaction to being in close proximity to someone she feels drawn to. It's an unconscious body language cue that suggests a desire for connection or a kiss, even if she doesn't openly admit it. So, what should you do if you notice her lips shaking? First, understand that this isn't a time to rush or pressure her into anything. Often, the lip shaking is an indication that she's working through her own feelings of attraction and maybe even some insecurities. Be patient. If she hasn't been intimate for a while, her body's reactions may feel unfamiliar to her, and pushing her too quickly could create discomfort or anxiety. Instead, focus on making her feel comfortable. Engage in light conversation, maintain eye contact, and allow the moment to unfold naturally. Let her body language guide the pace of your interaction. The trembling lips may be a signal that she's attracted to you, but she might need time to process her own emotions before taking things further. The Stoics emphasized patience and understanding when it comes to human behavior, and this principle applies here as well. Just as they believed in observing life's small details to gain insight into deeper truths, recognizing this subtle physical sign can provide you with important information about her emotional state. Her lips may quiver out of eagerness or nervousness, but either way, it's a moment that requires sensitivity and attentiveness. Her body is communicating desire, but it's also asking for patience as she navigates her own emotional and physical needs. In the end, if you notice her lips shaking when she's near you, it's a good sign. It means she's drawn to you and possibly feels the pull of intimacy. However, just remember that this attraction comes with a mix of emotions, particularly if she's been out of the dating game for a while. Her body is signaling readiness, but her mind may still be catching up. Be patient, give her space to feel comfortable, and allow her to guide the pace of any potential intimacy. Chapter 2. Biting her lip. Another strong indicator that a woman may be carrying pent-up sexual energy, especially if she hasn't been intimate in a long time, is the way she interacts with her own lips. Biting her lip, particularly when she's in close proximity to you, is one of the most common unconscious gestures of attraction. If you've noticed a woman lightly biting or tugging at her bottom lip when she's around you, it's likely her body is revealing more than she's consciously willing to express. Stoic philosophy teaches us to observe the world around us with mindfulness and clarity. When it comes to human behavior, paying attention to subtle gestures can provide deep insight. Biting one's lip is often a sign of nervous excitement, but it can also be a signal of attraction and desire. The act itself is a blend of sensuality and restraint, which makes it a particularly telling gesture when a woman hasn't had sexual intimacy for some time. When a woman bites her lip, it's often because she's feeling a mix of anticipation and self-restraint. This is especially true if she hasn't been physically intimate for a while. Her mind may be racing with thoughts about you and the potential at the moment, but she's unsure of how to act. Biting her lip becomes a way of holding back those feelings, of keeping her desire in check. It's a subtle way for her to express her attraction without openly verbalizing it. The lips, being one of the most sensitive areas of the body, often become a focal point for physical tension when someone is experiencing arousal or excitement. For a woman who has been out of the dating scene or without sexual experiences for a while, biting her lip can be a way of channeling that pent-up energy. It's a self-soothing mechanism that reveals her inner tension and desire. She may not even be aware that she's doing it, but it's a clear sign that her body is reacting to your presence in a way that suggests more than just casual interest. In some cases, this gesture may also indicate that she's trying to control her emotions or keep herself from moving too fast. Perhaps she's feeling a strong connection but wants to take things slowly. Biting her lip becomes a way of holding back, of managing her desires without letting them run away from her. It's a small, subtle gesture, but it speaks volumes about her internal state. She's attracted, she's interested, but she's also cautious, perhaps because she's been without intimacy for some time and is wary of moving too quickly into something she's not fully ready for. This lip-biting habit can also reflect an inner conflict. She might be battling between wanting to express her attraction and feeling a need to maintain some emotional distance. If a woman hasn't had physical intimacy for a long time, she may be grappling with a heightened sense of desire mixed with uncertainty. Biting her lip becomes a way for her to regulate this tension, to temper the rush of feelings she might be experiencing in your presence. It's an intimate, almost primal expression of the emotions bubbling beneath the surface. As with all signs of attraction, patience is key. If you notice a woman biting her lip while she's around you, it's a strong indication that she's drawn to you. However, pushing her or rushing the moment may make her feel uncomfortable or overwhelmed. Instead, take a cue from her body language and let the interaction unfold naturally. Engage in light, playful conversation and give her space to feel comfortable and in control of the pace of your connection. This can help her relax, allowing her attraction to grow without feeling pressured. The Stoics often emphasized the importance of restraint and self-control, both in ourselves and in our interactions with others. In this case, her lip-biting gesture is a signal for you to respect her emotional state and allow her to navigate her feelings at her own pace. She's clearly attracted, but she may also be grappling with insecurities or hesitations, particularly if she hasn't been intimate in a while. By being attentive and respectful, you can help her feel more at ease and open to deepening the connection. Another important aspect to remember is that lip biting can be an unconscious way for her to test the waters, to gauge your reaction to her subtle signals. She might not even realize the extent to which her body language is speaking for her, but if you remain calm and grounded, you'll create an atmosphere where she feels safe to explore those feelings further. This creates an unspoken trust, which can be essential in moving the relationship forward in a meaningful, healthy way. When it comes to reading body language, small gestures like lip biting can offer powerful insight into a person's thoughts and feelings. A woman's body often communicates what her mind is struggling to express, especially when it comes to attraction and intimacy. So if you notice her biting her lip while she's with you, take it as a positive sign, but also as an invitation to proceed with care, sensitivity, and understanding. By being patient and allowing the interaction to unfold naturally, you'll not only respect her emotional needs, but you'll also create a connection based on mutual attraction and comfort. Chapter 3: Hip or Bum Movement. One of the more obvious, but often overlooked signs of physical attraction is the movement of a woman's hips or bum when she's around you. For women who haven't had sex for a while, this unconscious physical response can be even more pronounced. According to Stoic philosophy, the body often reveals what the mind seeks to hide, and this is especially true when it comes to physical desire. Her body language can betray her deeper feelings of attraction, often without her even realizing it. When a woman is attracted to someone, her body tends to respond in subtle, sometimes unconscious ways. One of these is the natural sway or movement of her hips when she's close to you. This isn't necessarily something she's doing on purpose. Her body is simply reacting to the chemistry she feels in your presence. The hips, being a central part of the body's movement, can become more fluid or pronounced when a woman feels drawn to someone. In some cases, she might even position herself in ways that highlight her curves without consciously intending to do so. This hip or bum movement can be especially noticeable when a woman hasn't been intimate for a long time. Physical desire builds up over time, and when she finds herself attracted to someone after a dry spell, her body might respond more strongly than usual. Her hips might sway a little more when she walks, or she might unconsciously shift her weight to accentuate her figure when standing near you. These movements are often driven by the same subconscious forces that lead to other signs of attraction, like lip biting or trembling. The Stoics believed in paying close attention to human behavior as a means of understanding the deeper motivations behind our actions. In this case, her body is speaking for her, her hips moving or her bum shaking are signals of her attraction, her desire, and perhaps even her longing for physical connection after a period of absence. It's not something she's likely doing intentionally, but it's a clear indication that she's drawn to you. For women who have been without sexual intimacy for some time, these physical cues can be even more pronounced. The body has a natural way of expressing desire, even when the mind is still trying to catch up. The movement of her hips and bum is part of that expression, a sign that her body is ready for connection, even if she's still feeling cautious or unsure. It's important to approach this with the same level of sensitivity and patience that you would with any other sign of attraction. Her body might be giving off clear signals, but that doesn't mean she's ready to jump into physical intimacy right away. Attraction is a complex mix of physical, emotional, and mental factors, and it's important to respect her boundaries and pace. Engage her in conversation, make her feel comfortable, and let her guide the interaction based on what she feels ready for. In Stoic teachings, the idea of respecting others' autonomy and emotions is paramount. Just because her body is showing signs of attraction doesn't mean you should take it as an open invitation to move things forward quickly. Attraction is a dance of subtle cues, and it's important to let the woman set the rhythm. Her hips and bum may be moving in response to her attraction, but that doesn't mean she's fully aware of or ready to act on those feelings. By paying attention to these signs and responding with patience, you allow her the space to explore her own emotions and desires in a way that feels safe and comfortable. The key is to remain mindful of her body language while also giving her the time she needs to feel at ease. Chapter 4: Looking at you. One of the clearest signs that a woman is attracted to you, especially if she hasn't been intimate for a while, is how she looks at you. Eye contact, or even shy glances, can be incredibly telling when it comes to understanding what's going on in her mind. The eyes, as the saying goes, are the windows to the soul, and for a woman who has been without intimacy for some time, they can reveal a lot about her current feelings and desires. When a woman is drawn to you, she will find it difficult to keep her eyes off you. Even if she's shy or trying to play it cool, she'll likely steal glances in your direction when she thinks you're not looking. This is especially true if she hasn't been sexually active for a while. Her body and mind are naturally more attuned to potential partners, and her gaze will often linger on those she finds attractive. She might try to hide it, but her eyes will betray her feelings. Women who are more confident or bold might openly look at you, holding eye contact for longer than usual. This direct gaze is often a sign that she's interested and wants you to notice her. In contrast, a more reserved or shy woman might look away quickly when you catch her glancing at you, but don't be fooled, her stolen glances are just as telling. In both cases, her eyes are signaling that she's attracted to you and perhaps even thinking about physical intimacy, especially if she hasn't had it in a while. For a woman who's been out of the dating scene for some time, her eyes may also reflect a mix of curiosity and caution. She might be drawn to you but unsure of how to act on those feelings, especially if she's feeling vulnerable or hesitant after a period of abstinence. Her gaze can be both an invitation and a form of self-protection, revealing her attraction while also signaling her need to take things slowly. The Stoics taught that observation is key to understanding human behavior, and this applies to reading the subtle cues of attraction as well. A woman's gaze can tell you a lot about her emotional state, her level of interest, and her readiness for intimacy. If you notice her looking at you frequently, whether with shy glances or direct eye contact, it's a strong sign that she's attracted to you. However, it's important to be patient and respectful of her boundaries, especially if she's been without sexual intimacy for a while. Her eyes may be saying yes, but that doesn't mean she's ready to jump into anything just yet. The key is to acknowledge her interest without rushing her. Engage her in conversation, make her feel comfortable, and let her set the pace. Eye contact is a powerful form of communication, and it's important to respond to it with sensitivity and care. In Stoic philosophy, the idea of self-control and patience is paramount, especially when it comes to relationships and human interaction. Just because her eyes are signaling attraction doesn't mean you should take it as an open invitation to move things forward quickly. Let her guide the interaction and be mindful of her comfort level. her gaze may be filled with desire, but it's also a reflection of her emotional state, one that may be cautious or vulnerable after a period of abstinence. By paying attention to her eyes and responding with patience and care, you create an environment where she feels safe and comfortable to explore her attraction at her own pace. Remember, her gaze is just one of many signs that she's interested, and it's important to let her guide the direction of your interaction. Chapter 5: Eye Movement. Much like how a woman's gaze can reveal her attraction, her eye movements offer even more subtle, but telling, clues about her deeper feelings, especially if she hasn't been intimate for a while. According to Stoic wisdom, one of the keys to understanding human nature is to observe the small, often overlooked details in people's behavior. Eye movements, in particular, can be windows into what a woman is truly thinking or feeling, even when she hasn't verbalized it. If a woman is physically attracted to you, her eyes might involuntarily dart around, shifting from your face to different parts of your body. This is particularly true when she feels a strong sexual attraction, as her gaze may linger on areas like your lips, chest, or hands. These are key areas that often trigger thoughts of intimacy, even if she isn't consciously aware of it. For a woman who hasn't had sex in a while, this kind of eye movement might become even more apparent, as her mind and body are naturally more sensitive to physical attraction. In some instances, her eyes might move rapidly between your face and the rest of your body, as if she's mentally undressing you or imagining what it would be like to be close to you. This isn't something she's likely doing intentionally. Her body's response to attraction can manifest in ways that are beyond her control, and her eyes are inadvertently giving away those thoughts and feelings. It's as if her mind is processing the potential intimacy in real time, and her gaze reveals that in a dialogue. Simultaneously, her eye movements might also reflect a blend of attraction and uncertainty. If she hasn't had physical intimacy in some time, she may be caught between feelings of desire and hesitation. You might notice that her eyes flicker back and forth between focusing intently on you and looking away, revealing a kind of internal push and pull. On one hand, her body may be craving the connection, but on the other hand, she might feel cautious or unsure about how to act on those feelings. There's a certain vulnerability in these eye movements, and they speak volumes about her internal state. She might want to express her interest, but past experiences or a prolonged period without intimacy could cause her to hold back. This dynamic is important to recognize because while her eyes might show attraction, they may also indicate that she needs time to sort through her emotions. It's a reflection of her desire to connect, but also her need for patience and comfort. As with all signs of attraction, it's crucial to approach this situation with sensitivity and understanding. Her eye movements provide a clear indication that she's interested, but they also hint that she might need some time to feel comfortable before fully engaging. Instead of rushing the interaction or putting pressure on her, focus on creating a relaxed atmosphere where she feels safe and valued. Engaging her in conversation, showing genuine interest in her thoughts, and allowing the interaction to progress naturally will make her feel more at ease. By being mindful of these subtle cues and responding with patience, you're not only respecting her pace, but also building trust. Her eyes are indeed communicating attraction, but they're also asking for the time and space necessary for her to explore that attraction in a way that feels right for her. Recognizing the balance between desire and hesitation will allow both of you to navigate the situation with respect and understanding. Chapter 6: Sweating. Sweating is another subtle yet powerful sign that a woman may be experiencing sexual attraction, particularly if she hasn't been intimate in a long time. While sweating is a normal bodily function, it can take on new meaning in the context of physical attraction and desire. The Stoics were keen observers of human nature, and they would have understood how the body often reveals deeper emotions through small physical cues. Sweating is one such cue, and it's especially telling when combined with other signs of attraction. If a woman is attracted to you, she may begin to sweat, even if the environment is cool or air-conditioned. This can happen because attraction often triggers a natural physiological response. When the body is excited or anxious, it activates the sympathetic nervous system, which can cause sweating even in situations where she might otherwise be calm. For women who haven't had sex in a while, the body's reaction to physical attraction can be even more intense, as they may be feeling a mix of excitement, nervousness, and anticipation. This kind of sweating isn't like the kind that happens after a workout or in a hot environment. It's usually more subtle, a slight dampness on her palms, a light sheen on her forehead, or even a slight increase in her body temperature that you can feel when you're close to her. Her body is responding to the attraction she feels toward you, and it's giving off signals that she may not even be aware of. In some cases, women may become self-conscious about this kind of sweating, especially if they're aware that their body is reacting in ways they can't control. If she hasn't been intimate in a while, this nervousness or tension can amplify the effect, making her feel even more on edge. Sweating, in this context, becomes a physical manifestation of her desire and her anxiety about that desire. It's her body's way of responding to the chemistry between you, even if she's trying to maintain her composure. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of patience and understanding when interacting with others. In this situation, it's crucial to remain calm and make her feel comfortable. Sweating is a natural, involuntary response, and it's a sign that her body is reacting to the attraction she feels. Instead of drawing attention to it or making her feel embarrassed, focus on creating an atmosphere where she can relax and feel at ease. If you notice that she's sweating, it's a good indication that she's experiencing a heightened level of excitement and attraction. This could be the result of physical desire building up over time, especially if she hasn't been with anyone in a while. Her body is giving off signals that she's interested, but she may also be feeling nervous or unsure of how to proceed. This is where your patience and sensitivity come into play. In Stoic teachings, self-control and emotional regulation are key virtues. In this context, it's important to maintain your own calmness and composure. The last thing you want to do is make her feel uncomfortable or pressured. Instead, engage her in light, easy conversation and allow the interaction to unfold naturally. By remaining relaxed, you help her feel more at ease, which can reduce her nervousness and make the connection between you stronger. Ultimately, sweating is just one of many signs that a woman's body is responding to attraction. It's a physical cue that, when combined with other behaviors like eye contact or lip biting, can offer valuable insight into her feelings. If you notice her sweating in your presence, take it as a positive sign that she's attracted to you, but also be mindful of the emotions that may be underlying that physical response. Her body is telling you that she's interested, but it's also asking for a thoughtful, measured approach. Chapter 7: Nipple Hardening. One of the more intimate and sometimes noticeable physical signs of attraction, especially when a woman hasn't had sexual contact for a long time, is nipple hardening. This is a physical reaction that can occur when a woman is aroused or excited, and it's often an unconscious response to sexual desire. In Stoic philosophy, we learn that the body and mind are deeply connected, and when a woman feels attraction, her body often reacts in ways that reveal her inner emotions, even when she's trying to keep those feelings hidden. Nipple hardening is one such sign, and it can be especially pronounced if she's not wearing a bra or if her clothing makes it more noticeable. This reaction occurs because the body's arousal system is closely tied to physical sensations. When a woman feels attracted to someone, her body can respond with increased sensitivity, and one of the areas that might reflect that sensitivity is her nipples. If a woman hasn't had sex in a while, her body might be more responsive to even small levels of attraction or arousal. This is because sexual energy can build up over time, making her more sensitive to physical stimuli. Nipple hardening in this context isn't something she can control, it's an automatic, physiological response to the attraction she feels. Her body is reacting to your presence, and this physical sign can reveal her deeper desires, even if she hasn't verbally expressed them. For many women, this kind of physical response can be both exciting and a little embarrassing, especially if they're aware of it. If you notice this sign, it's important to remain discreet and respectful. Drawing attention to it or making her feel self-conscious could make her uncomfortable and disrupt the connection that's building between you. Instead, be mindful of her feelings and focus on keeping the interaction natural and relaxed. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control, our own thoughts and actions, while being mindful of how others might be feeling. In this situation, her body is giving off clear signals of attraction, but it's crucial to let her set the pace of how things progress. Nipple hardening is a strong sign of physical desire, but it doesn't necessarily mean she's ready to act on those feelings immediately. Be patient and allow her to explore her attraction in her own time. As with the other signs of physical attraction, nipple hardening can be an indication that her body is ready for intimacy, but her mind may still be processing those feelings. This is especially true if she's been without sexual intimacy for a while. Her body might be sending strong signals, but she may still be navigating her emotions, trying to decide how to proceed. In these moments, it's important to respect her boundaries and allow her the space to express herself at her own pace. Attraction is a complex mix of physical, emotional, and mental responses. Nipple hardening is just one piece of the puzzle, but when combined with other signs like eye contact, lip biting, or subtle body movements, it can provide a clearer picture of her feelings. Her body is giving off signals of desire, but it's your job to respond with thoughtfulness and patience. In Stoic philosophy, the emphasis on self-control and respect for others' autonomy is key. Just because her body is showing signs of attraction doesn't mean she's ready to jump into anything quickly. Nipple hardening is a natural, physiological response to attraction, but it's important to let her guide the interaction based on her comfort level. Engage her in conversation, make her feel at ease, and let the connection develop naturally. By paying attention to these physical signs while also respecting her boundaries, you create an environment where she feels safe and comfortable to explore her feelings. Her body is telling you that she's attracted, but it's up to you to respond with care, patience, and understanding. And there you have it, 7 powerful signs that a woman's body might be telling you more than her words ever could, especially if she hasn't been intimate in a while. Whether it's subtle cues like lip shaking, more noticeable signals like nipple hardening, or signs of tension like sweating, the body never lies. As the Stoics taught us, paying attention to these small but significant behaviors can deepen our understanding of human nature and relationships. But remember, these signs are just that, signs. They can give you insight into her feelings, but it's important to always respect her boundaries and let things progress at her own pace. Attraction and intimacy are about building trust, and that requires patience, sensitivity, and communication. If you've experienced or noticed any of these signs in your own interactions, we'd love to hear your stories. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future episodes like this. Sharing this video helps others discover the content, so be sure to spread the word if you found this valuable. Until next time, keep learning, stay mindful, and remember to always pay attention to the subtle cues that can tell you so much more than words ever could. Thanks for watching. Throughout history, the Stoics mastered the psychology of human behavior, including the complex dynamics of male and female relationships. Their wisdom on emotional resilience, self-control, and maintaining personal values is crucial for navigating modern relationships. One of their central teachings was to always remain true to oneself, never compromising integrity or purpose for temporary pleasures or approval from others. In today's episode, we'll explore 7 key things you should never do for a woman, lessons rooted in both ancient wisdom and modern psychology. These insights will help you maintain your self-respect, strengthen your position in relationships, and avoid pitfalls that can lead to manipulation or resentment. Stick around until the end, because understanding these principles will completely change how you approach women and relationships. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your story in the comments if any of these insights resonate with you. Let's dive in. Chapter 1. Stop forgiving disrespect. One of the most fundamental things you should never do for a woman is tolerate or forgive disrespect. Whether it's in the form of subtle jabs at your self-esteem, sarcastic remarks meant to belittle you, or outright acts of disloyalty, disrespect is an unmistakable red flag. The Stoics, who emphasized the importance of self-respect and dignity above all, believed that how you allow others to treat you is a direct reflection of your own value. When you tolerate disrespect from a woman, you're undermining that value and signaling to her that poor treatment is acceptable. Over time, this sets a dangerous precedent, encouraging more disrespectful behavior as she realizes there are no real consequences for treating you poorly. Disrespect in a relationship can take many forms. It could be something as overt as public humiliation or criticism, or it might be more subtle, eye rolls, dismissive comments, or consistently putting you down in front of others. Sometimes, it may even manifest as testing your boundaries by seeing how far she can push you before you push back. If you forgive her without addressing the issue, you send the message that it's okay to continue. What's worse, over time, you may start to internalize this mistreatment, causing your self-esteem to take a hit. It becomes a cycle where the more you tolerate, the more she disrespects, and the more disrespected you feel. A woman who truly values you will not disrespect you. She will understand the importance of mutual respect and will make efforts to maintain it in the relationship. Mutual respect is the foundation of any healthy relationship, and without it, everything else crumbles. The Stoics would argue that respect isn't just something you give to others, it's something you cultivate within yourself. To allow someone to treat you poorly is a betrayal of your own dignity. Therefore, it's crucial to set clear boundaries and demand respect in your interactions, whether they're romantic, platonic, or professional. It's important to note that walking away from a woman who disrespects you doesn't have to be done with malice or anger. It can be done calmly and confidently as a reflection of the value you place on yourself. Stoicism teaches that we can't control how others behave, but we can control our own responses to that behavior. Walking away from someone who consistently disrespects you is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of strength. It shows that you understand your worth and will not compromise it for anyone. In fact, leaving a situation that compromises your dignity is one of the most powerful moves you can make. It forces her to recognize the gravity of her actions and makes her reassess her behavior. When you walk away, you're communicating that you won't tolerate being treated poorly and that she needs to step up if she wants to be a part of your life. Paradoxically, this often makes her fear losing you even more. A woman who is used to having control or believes she can treat you however she pleases will be shaken when she realizes she can't manipulate or mistreat you without consequences. The truth is, people, both men and women, value what they fear losing. When you demonstrate that you won't settle for disrespect, you're showing that you are a high-value man with options and that you're not afraid to walk away from a toxic situation. This sense of self-worth and independence is incredibly attractive, and it often flips the power dynamic in your favor. Walking away doesn't mean you should be cold or indifferent. It's simply about asserting your standards. If she wants to be a part of your life, she'll need to meet those standards, and if she doesn't, you'll be just fine without her. This doesn't make you heartless, it makes you wise. It shows you're a man who values himself and won't sacrifice his dignity for the sake of a relationship. The Stoics believed that inner peace comes from knowing and upholding your own values, regardless of external circumstances. In relationships, this translates to refusing to allow disrespect to undermine your self-worth. By standing firm and not forgiving disrespectful behavior, you communicate strength, self-respect, and emotional maturity, qualities that women find irresistible. And ultimately, this approach leads to healthier, more balanced relationships where mutual respect and appreciation thrive. In summary, don't make the mistake of forgiving disrespect in a relationship. Address it head-on, and if necessary, walk away to protect your dignity. Doing so not only preserves your self-esteem, but also forces her to recognize your value. Paradoxically, this often makes her fear losing you more, as she realizes you won't tolerate anything less than the respect you deserve. And in the long run, you'll find that this self-respect attracts the right kind of woman, someone who values and respects you for who you are. Chapter 2. Take charge. Another critical thing you should never do for a woman is constantly ask for her permission to lead your own life. While seeking a partner's opinion or input is healthy, especially in a committed relationship, it's entirely different from asking for permission to make decisions. Women are naturally drawn to men who are decisive and capable of taking charge. The Stoics believed in personal responsibility and autonomy, recognizing that a man must be the master of his own fate. When you ask for permission for every little thing, you project weakness and uncertainty, which can erode her respect for you over time. When you lead with confidence and make decisions without always deferring to her, you send a powerful message: you're in control of your own life. This doesn't mean being domineering or dismissive of her thoughts and feelings. Rather, it's about demonstrating that you are capable of steering the ship. A woman wants to feel safe and secure in a relationship, and that often comes from being with a man who can confidently take the reins when necessary. If you're constantly deferring to her, it puts her in the uncomfortable position of leading the relationship, which can create imbalance and frustration. Imagine this scenario: you're planning a night out, and instead of confidently suggesting a restaurant or an activity, you repeatedly ask her what she wants to do, afraid of making the wrong choice. This constant indecision wears thin over time. Women appreciate men who are thoughtful, but also decisive. A Stoic man understands that while cooperation is important, leadership is equally crucial. He doesn't wait for someone else to take action, especially in his own life. It's not just about decisions like where to eat or what movie to watch. It extends to all areas of life: your career, your hobbies, even your friendships. If you constantly ask for her approval or permission to pursue your goals or spend time with friends, you're signaling that you lack confidence and independence. And nothing erodes attraction faster than a man who seems unsure of himself. Taking charge doesn't mean being inconsiderate or ignoring her input. It's about balancing her needs with your own and not being afraid to make decisions that benefit both of you. Women want to be with men who have a strong sense of purpose and direction. When you stop asking for permission and start leading confidently, she will see you as a man who knows what he wants, and that's incredibly attractive. Furthermore, the Stoics would argue that constantly seeking approval from others, whether it's from a partner or anyone else, diminishes your sense of self. They believed in cultivating inner strength and relying on your own judgment, rather than allowing external opinions to dictate your actions. In a relationship, this translates to being the man who sets the course, rather than waiting for someone else to tell him what to do. When you embody this sense of leadership, you not only command respect, but you also create a dynamic where she is more likely to follow your lead, trusting in your judgment and abilities. In summary, stop asking for permission and start taking charge of your own life. Women are drawn to men who can lead with confidence and make decisions without hesitation. This sense of self-assurance creates respect, attraction, and a balanced relationship where both partners can thrive. Chapter 3. Financial Independence. A huge mistake that many men make is spending beyond their means to try to impress or please a woman. It's essential to never sacrifice your financial independence or stability in an attempt to win someone's affection. A woman may appreciate gifts or being treated to a nice dinner, but true attraction and respect come from who you are, not how much you spend. The Stoics were clear on this. External wealth does not define a man's value. What defines a man is his character, his principles, and his ability to stand firm in his beliefs, regardless of material possessions. When you overextend yourself financially to impress a woman, you're essentially trying to buy her affection, which never works in the long run. Women can sense when a man is being overly generous out of insecurity, and this can often lead to a loss of respect. Instead of seeing you as a man of high value, she may start to view you as someone who is desperate for her approval, willing to sacrifice his financial health to keep her happy. It's important to understand that providing for a partner or treating her occasionally is not the problem. The issue arises when you start to equate your self-worth with how much you can spend on her, or when you go into debt trying to maintain a lifestyle that's unsustainable. True financial independence is about being in control of your resources and not allowing anyone, especially a romantic partner, to dictate how you spend your money. The Stoics believed in living within one's means and avoiding the pursuit of external wealth for the sake of validation. Financial freedom, for them, was a form of personal freedom. It meant being able to live according to your own values and not being enslaved by the opinions of others or the desire to impress. In the context of relationships, this means being wise with your money, maintaining financial independence, and not feeling the need to go broke trying to win her over. A woman who truly values you will not expect you to constantly shower her with expensive gifts or extravagant dates. In fact, many women lose interest in men who try too hard to impress them financially, seeing it as a sign of insecurity. What's far more attractive is a man who is responsible with his money, confident in his own worth, and doesn't feel the need to rely on material things to prove his value. In conclusion, never sacrifice your financial independence for the sake of impressing a woman. Focus on building a life of stability, responsibility, and self-respect, and she will be drawn to you for who you are, not for what you can buy. Chapter 4. Avoid micromanagement. One of the biggest mistakes you can make in a relationship is falling into the trap of micromanagement, either controlling every aspect of her life or allowing her to control yours. A healthy relationship is built on the balance of independence and connection. If you find yourself constantly monitoring her actions or, worse, surrendering your own sense of autonomy, you are setting a dangerous precedent that will slowly erode mutual respect and attraction. The Stoics believed deeply in autonomy and self-control. For them, personal freedom was non-negotiable. Each person must be the ruler of their own actions, thoughts, and decisions without infringing on others. When you try to micromanage a relationship, you are ignoring the wisdom of self-reliance and personal strength. Just as you wouldn't want to be controlled or dictated by someone else, you must also resist the urge to control her life. When two individuals come together in a relationship, the strength comes from each partner maintaining their own identity while choosing to connect. Micromanagement can manifest in various subtle and not so subtle ways. It may start with constantly texting or calling to check on her whereabouts. You may think you're being attentive, but it can quickly turn into distrust and insecurity. When you attempt to dictate what she wears, where she goes, or who she spends time with, you're not acting from a place of strength. Instead, you're letting your own fears and anxieties drive your actions. Over time, this type of behavior can suffocate the relationship, and she'll start to pull away, not because she doesn't care about you, but because no one likes feeling controlled or monitored. It's essential to remember that people crave freedom, even within committed relationships. Just as you enjoy your own hobbies, interests, and time with friends, she deserves the same. The moment you try to micromanage her personal life, it sends a message that you don't trust her to make her own decisions. This lack of trust chips away at the foundation of the relationship and creates resentment. Even if she goes along with it initially, it won't last. Over time, the resentment will fester, and the relationship will begin to break down. On the flip side, if she is the one trying to micromanage you, whether it's telling you how to spend your time, who you can see, or controlling your daily routine, it's just as damaging. You should never allow your partner to compromise your independence. Stoicism teaches us that true contentment comes from living according to our principles, not from external validation. If you're constantly adjusting your life to meet her demands, you will lose your sense of self, and this loss will weaken both you and the relationship. Another common form of micromanagement comes when one partner starts making decisions for the other in areas that should be personal. This could involve controlling how you manage your finances, telling you what career moves to make, or dictating how you interact with your family and friends. Even if it starts small, such control can quickly escalate, leaving you feeling trapped. What makes micromanagement especially toxic is that it often stems from insecurity. If you don't trust yourself or her completely, you might feel the need to control things to avoid getting hurt. However, this is a short-term solution to a deeper issue. Instead of working on your own confidence and building a relationship based on trust, you're opting for control, which is a fragile and unsustainable foundation for any relationship. To avoid falling into this trap, embrace the Stoic principle of self-reliance. Trust that both you and your partner are capable of making decisions that honor your individual needs and your relationship. If something genuinely bothers you, communicate it openly rather than trying to manipulate or control the situation. And remember, it's just as important not to allow yourself to be micromanaged. If she starts encroaching on your freedom, that's a red flag. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual respect for each other's independence. She needs to see that you're confident enough to maintain your individuality and that you won't sacrifice your personal happiness just to keep the peace. In conclusion, relationships are strongest when both individuals have room to breathe and grow. By avoiding the urge to micromanage and ensuring that neither of you gives up your independence, you create a bond that is built on trust, respect, and mutual admiration. This is the kind of foundation that not only keeps attraction alive, but also makes the relationship deeply fulfilling. Chapter 5: The Importance of Honesty. One of the most critical principles in any relationship is honesty, yet it's an area where many men struggle, often for seemingly noble reasons. They lie to protect a woman's feelings, avoid confrontation, or simply to maintain harmony. While it might seem like these small lies keep the peace, they are actually doing more harm than good in the long run. A relationship built on dishonesty is fragile and destined to crack under the weight of hidden truths. The Stoics placed immense value on living a virtuous life, and they regarded truthfulness as the cornerstone of that virtue. For them, honesty wasn't just a moral choice, it was essential for living in harmony with nature and fostering genuine human connections. When you lie to a woman, even if it's to protect her feelings, you are ultimately doing a disservice to both her and yourself. A lie, no matter how small, undermines trust, which is the bedrock of any healthy relationship. Many men find themselves in this predicament because they fear the repercussions of being truthful. Whether it's the discomfort of having a difficult conversation, the fear of disappointing her, or the desire to avoid conflict, dishonesty seems like an easy way out in the moment. But here's the truth: lies will eventually catch up with you, and when they do, they will cause far more damage than the initial discomfort of honesty ever could. When a woman discovers that you've lied to her, even if it was with good intentions, her trust in you will begin to crumble. Without trust, respect quickly follows, and with it, the strength of the relationship weakens. Consider this: if you consistently avoid being truthful about how you feel, what you want, or where your boundaries lie, you are setting the stage for misunderstanding, disappointment, and eventually resentment. You may think you're preserving the relationship, but in reality, you're building it on a shaky foundation. The Stoics taught that honesty is not about delivering harsh truths recklessly, but about living in alignment with your true self and values. In a relationship, This means being transparent about who you are and what you need, even if it leads to difficult conversations. Being honest doesn't mean you have to be brutal or hurtful. It's possible to be both truthful and compassionate. For example, if something bothers you in the relationship, it's far better to communicate that openly rather than pretending everything is fine. Bottling up your feelings or lying to keep her happy only leads to frustration, and those unresolved issues will eventually spill over in unhealthy ways. On the other hand, when you address problems with honesty, even if the conversation is tough, it gives you both the opportunity to grow and understand each other better. Women, contrary to what some men might think, don't want to be lied to, even if it's to protect their feelings. In fact, most women value honesty deeply, especially when it comes to matters of the heart. When you're honest, you demonstrate respect not only for her, but also for yourself. A woman who knows that you are truthful, even when it's not easy, will value you for your integrity. She may not always like what she hears, but she will respect you for having the courage to be open and real with her. Honesty is also critical in establishing clear boundaries and expectations in a relationship. If you're not honest about what you want or what you're comfortable with, how can you expect her to understand your needs? For example, if you feel uncomfortable with a certain behavior or situation, but you don't express it, you're essentially allowing the issue to persist. This breeds frustration and resentment on your part, and confusion on hers. Instead, being upfront from the beginning about your feelings and boundaries fosters mutual respect and understanding, creating a space where both partners can thrive. Another aspect of honesty is being real about your own flaws and imperfections. In a world where people often try to present the best version of themselves, admitting when you're wrong or acknowledging your shortcomings is a breath of fresh air. The Stoics taught that wisdom comes from recognizing your own limitations and being humble enough to admit when you've made a mistake. In a relationship, this means owning up to your errors and being accountable for your actions. It shows her that you're not trying to be perfect, but that you're willing to be real. This vulnerability strengthens the emotional bond between you two, making the relationship more authentic and grounded. On the flip side, it's important to expect honesty from her as well. Just as you shouldn't lie to protect her feelings, she should offer you the same respect. A relationship where both partners are honest creates a dynamic where trust flourishes, and this trust forms the core of long-term success. When you're both transparent, there's no need for mind games or second-guessing each other's intentions. In conclusion, honesty is one of the most powerful tools in maintaining a healthy and fulfilling relationship. It's not always easy, and it might require difficult conversations, but the long-term benefits far outweigh the short-term discomfort. Being truthful with a woman about your feelings, boundaries, and expectations builds a foundation of trust, respect, and deeper connection. Women value integrity and authenticity, and by being honest, you become a man who is not only trustworthy but also deeply respected. Lies, no matter how small, will always catch up to you, but honesty will always lead to a stronger, more authentic bond. Chapter 6: Navigating Girls' Night Out. One of the most overlooked aspects of maintaining a healthy relationship is knowing how to navigate situations where your partner goes out with her friends, commonly known as girls' night out. For many men, this can become a significant source of tension. Some men respond by trying to control the situation, while others become indifferent, pretending they don't care when deep down they do. Both extremes lead to unnecessary stress and misunderstandings. The key here is not about preventing her from enjoying her social life, but establishing clear, respectful boundaries that honor the relationship. In Stoicism, much emphasis is placed on understanding what we can and cannot control. You can't dictate every move your partner makes when she's out with her friends, nor should you try. What you can control, however, is your response to it and how you communicate your expectations. Boundaries are not about controlling her, but about fostering a sense of mutual respect and trust between both partners. The aim is to create an environment where both of you feel valued and respected, allowing the relationship to thrive without either party feeling compromised. When it comes to her going out, the first thing to acknowledge is that everyone needs their personal space. Relationships are healthiest when both partners maintain their own social circles and interests. However, there are valid concerns that may arise, especially if her night out involves activities or situations that make you uncomfortable. It could be frequent late nights at bars, hanging out with people who don't respect the relationship, or simply behaviors that cross your boundaries. Ignoring your discomfort doesn't help, it only allows tension to build up over time. The Stoics taught that avoiding difficult conversations is a recipe for future conflict. The key is to address your concerns calmly and logically. Instead of becoming controlling or accusatory, have a direct and honest conversation with her about how you feel. Explain what boundaries you think are important and why they matter to you. For instance, if you're uncomfortable with her getting too close to male acquaintances during these outings, it's reasonable to express the discomfort without making her feel trapped or restricted. Boundaries, when communicated clearly and respectfully, demonstrate that you care about the integrity of the relationship. They aren't a sign of insecurity, but rather of mutual respect. A woman who values the relationship and respects you will understand and appreciate your concerns. By discussing boundaries openly and reasonably, you're not just setting limits for her, but you're also establishing what you expect in a healthy, trusting partnership. She will likely appreciate your clarity and find that it deepens her respect for you. In fact, setting boundaries often enhances her respect because it shows that you have standards and won't allow them to be compromised. It's important to remember that setting boundaries doesn't mean being overly restrictive or controlling. It's not about forbidding her from seeing friends or enjoying her freedom, but rather creating a framework where both partners feel comfortable and secure. If her idea of a fun night out frequently crosses lines that you're uncomfortable with, you have every right to voice your concerns and expect her to meet you halfway. A healthy relationship requires both partners to be considerate of each other's feelings and to strike a balance that works for both. However, it's crucial to be mindful of how she responds to these discussions. If she constantly dismisses your concerns, disregards the boundaries you've agreed on, or trivializes your feelings, that's a serious red flag. A partner who truly values you will recognize that maintaining trust and respect is a priority. She will understand that her actions, particularly during social events, have an impact on the relationship. If she continuously ignores the boundaries you've set, it may be time to reevaluate whether the relationship is built on mutual respect. On the other hand, it's essential to recognize that your partner deserves her own independence, and you shouldn't micromanage her every move. If you trust her, allow her the freedom to go out and enjoy herself without feeling like you're policing her behavior. That's where the Stoic principle of letting go of what you can't control comes in. You can't and shouldn't control her actions, but you can ensure that the relationship is built on trust, communication, and mutual respect. Stoicism also teaches the value of self-respect, which means recognizing when your boundaries are being crossed and not hesitating to stand up for yourself. By setting firm but reasonable boundaries, you demonstrate that you respect yourself and won't allow anyone, not even someone you love, to disregard your feelings. This self-respect is magnetic and often leads to an increase in her admiration for you. Women are naturally drawn to men who aren't afraid to stand their ground for what they believe is right. In summary, learning to navigate situations like girls' night out comes down to creating an environment of respect, understanding, and open communication. Avoid the extremes of being overly controlling or completely indifferent. Instead, calmly set boundaries that protect your values and the relationship itself. Doing so demonstrates strength, self-respect, and emotional maturity, all of which make for a healthy, balanced partnership. When your boundaries are clear and respectful, you establish a foundation of trust that strengthens your bond and ensures the relationship remains both meaningful and fulfilling for both partners. Chapter 7. Prioritize your passions. One of the biggest mistakes men make in relationships is sacrificing their passions, hobbies, and goals for the sake of a woman. While compromise is a natural part of any relationship, losing yourself entirely to please your partner is detrimental both to your sense of self and to the relationship itself. The Stoics believed in the importance of pursuing your personal purpose and never compromising your identity for anyone else. In relationships, this means never abandoning your dreams, hobbies, or passions just to make her happy. Too many men make the mistake of giving up what they love, whether it's a career goal, a personal passion, or even time spent with friends, to cater to their partner's needs. While this might seem like an act of devotion, it actually leads to resentment and unhappiness. When you start to lose yourself in the relationship, you become less of the man she was initially attracted to. Ironically, by sacrificing too much, you can push her away. Women are naturally attracted to men who are driven and passionate. When you have your own goals and interests, it makes you more intriguing, confident, and fulfilled. Your passions give you a sense of purpose, and purpose is one of the most attractive traits a man can have. On the other hand, if you sacrifice your passions to make her the center of your world, you become less dynamic and less interesting, which can erode the attraction she once felt. Think of your passions as the fuel that drives your personal growth. The Stoics emphasized living in alignment with your true self, which includes staying connected to the things that make you who you are. Whether it's your career, a hobby, or a creative pursuit, these are the things that give your life meaning beyond the relationship. A healthy relationship should enhance your life, not consume it. It's important to prioritize time for yourself, your interests, and your growth. This doesn't mean neglecting your partner or failing to invest in the relationship, but it does mean maintaining a balance. A woman who truly cares for you will encourage you to pursue your passions, not demand that you give them up. If she expects you to sacrifice your dreams or constantly put her above everything else, it's a sign that the relationship is unhealthy. Additionally, when you prioritize your passions, you cultivate a sense of independence and self-worth. You're not relying on her to provide all your fulfillment, which is something women find incredibly attractive. When she sees that you have your own life outside of the relationship, it reminds her that you're a man of value and that she's with you because she genuinely admires who you are, not because you're bending over backward to please her. In conclusion, never sacrifice your passions or purpose for the sake of a relationship. Keep your own identity intact, continue to pursue your dreams, and maintain a life outside of your relationship. A woman will respect and value you more when she sees that you are a man with purpose and drive, someone who won't lose himself for anyone else. This is the key to maintaining her respect and attraction while also staying true to yourself. As we wrap up this episode, remember that relationships are about balance, respect, and maintaining your own sense of identity. The Stoics mastered the art of self-control and self-respect, two key elements in any successful relationship. By setting boundaries, staying true to your passions, and never tolerating disrespect, you create a dynamic where you're valued for who you truly are. Women are naturally drawn to men who know their worth and aren't afraid to stand up for themselves. If you found this insight valuable, make sure to watch till the end and reflect on how these principles apply to your life. Hit the like button if this resonated with you, and don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any future episodes. Also, feel free to share your own experiences in the comments below. Your stories might just inspire someone else. Thanks for watching, and until next time, keep mastering your relationships with confidence and wisdom. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a fascinating topic that ties right into ancient Stoic wisdom. The Stoics, during their long and meaningful lives, mastered the art of human psychology, especially when it comes to understanding relationships. They knew that observing subtle signs and patterns in people's behavior was key to living a harmonious life. This applies to modern relationships too, particularly when a woman with a complicated romantic past starts letting certain phrases slip. These phrases can tell you a lot about her mindset, her past, and where things might be heading in your relationship. Now, before we dive in, make sure to watch the video until the end, because I'm going to reveal 7 key phrases that women with a lot of experience in relationships tend to accidentally let slip. If you've heard any of these in your relationship, you'll want to pay close attention. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if any of this resonates with you, feel free to comment your story below and share it with someone who needs to hear this. Let's get into it. Chapter 1. All men are this, all men are that. The first phrase you might hear is some version of all men are this, all men are that. It might sound harmless at first, but when a woman starts generalizing all men, especially in a negative light, it's a significant red flag. What this reveals is that she may be carrying emotional baggage from her past relationships, and instead of addressing and processing those experiences, she's lumping you, and possibly all men she encounters, into the same category. You see, the danger here is that when she makes these sweeping statements, she's projecting her past disappointments onto you, which isn't just unfair, it's harmful to your relationship. She might say things like, all men are liars, or all men only care about one thing. These kinds of remarks stem from unresolved pain and a lack of closure, suggesting that she hasn't truly moved on from her past experiences. And instead of addressing her emotional scars, she's applying a blanket judgment to an entire gender. Now, from a Stoic perspective, generalizations of this nature were seen as unwise and irrational. The Stoics believed that true wisdom came from seeing individuals as they are and not as extensions of past experiences or broad categories. In Stoic philosophy, the key was to assess each person based on their character and actions, not the actions of others or based on emotional assumptions. This applies especially in relationships. A Stoic man would remind himself to focus on what's real in the present, rather than being tied down by the emotional baggage of the past. When a woman says, all men are selfish, or all men cheat, what she's really doing is revealing unresolved trauma. It's an indication that she hasn't yet healed from previous relationships and that she's bringing this emotional weight into the present, even though it has no place there. The problem is, once she starts seeing you through this lens of negativity, it becomes incredibly difficult for her to truly see and appreciate you for who you are. Every kind gesture, every word of reassurance, and every loving act might be overshadowed by the assumption that you're just like the others. This not only puts unfair pressure on you, but also damages the foundation of trust and understanding that is essential in a relationship. Why does this matter so much in your relationship? The answer lies in the subtle power of perception. If she's stuck in the mindset that all men are flawed in the same way, no matter how good or kind or different you may be, she'll have trouble seeing you as an individual. Instead of recognizing your unique qualities, your strengths, your values, and the effort you put into the relationship, she'll constantly compare you to her past partners or to the stereotypical bad man she has in her mind. This can lead to feelings of frustration, resentment, and even alienation. You'll start to feel like you're fighting a ghost from her past, rather than building something meaningful in the present. The Stoics taught that clinging to past experiences, especially negative ones, prevents us from living in the present moment. In the context of a relationship, this means that if your partner is stuck in the past, replaying old hurts and applying them to you, she's unable to fully engage with the relationship you're trying to create together. It's as if she's seeing everything through a fog of past experiences, which distorts reality. You could be the most loyal, caring, and trustworthy partner, but if she's convinced that all men cheat, you'll always be walking on thin ice, trying to prove yourself against her preconceived notions. So how do you navigate this situation? First and foremost, it's essential to approach the issue calmly and with understanding. If you notice this behavior, these sweeping generalizations of men, don't react with frustration or anger. That will only reinforce her belief that all men are incapable of understanding her. Instead, take a Stoic approach. Address the issue with empathy and clarity. Ask her why she feels that way. Is there a specific incident from her past that's fueling these thoughts? Open up the conversation about where these beliefs come from and whether she's open to seeing things differently based on the person you are and the relationship you're building together. It's also crucial to reaffirm your individuality in the relationship. You can remind her, in a non-confrontational way, that while her feelings are valid, a relationship cannot thrive on generalizations. You are not those other men. You are not her past. The two of you must navigate this relationship as two unique individuals, and each partner must see and appreciate the other for who they truly are. If she's receptive to the conversation, you may find that the generalizations start to fade as she begins to heal and view you more clearly. However, if she's unwilling or unable to move past these ingrained beliefs, it may be a sign of deeper issues that will require time, patience, and possibly even professional help to resolve. What's important is that you don't allow yourself to be swallowed up by her past. The Stoics would remind us that while we can't control other people's thoughts or emotions, we can control how we respond. In this case, the response is not to internalize her generalizations, but to remain centered in your truth, to communicate openly, and to encourage healing and growth. By doing so, you not only protect yourself from the emotional burden of her past, but also create the space for a healthier, more honest relationship to flourish. Chapter 2. Comparing you to her past partners. Another subtle but telling sign that a woman has had a lot of men in her past is when she starts making comparisons between you and her former partners. This might come in the form of offhand remarks like, "My ex used to do that," or "You remind me of someone I used to date." On the surface, these comments might seem innocent, but they carry a lot of weight. Comparisons are a dangerous game in relationships because they immediately put pressure on the current partner to measure up to an imagined standard, one that often doesn't even exist anymore. The Stoics understood that living in the past or clinging to comparisons is a surefire way to disrupt one's peace of mind. For a relationship to flourish, both partners need to be fully present, focusing on each other's qualities rather than how they stack up to someone else. When a woman begins comparing you to her exes, it often indicates that she hasn't fully let go of her past relationships. This might manifest as her remembering the good parts of those relationships while glossing over the bad, or as her projecting her dissatisfaction with those past partners onto you. Why is this so problematic? Because no one can win a battle against a ghost. The comparisons are usually unfair, as they often emphasize only the idealized aspects of her past relationships. Maybe she remembers an ex being particularly romantic, or another one being more successful. Whatever the case may be, you are now being held to a standard that may not even reflect the reality of those relationships. Worse, if the comparisons are negative, "You're just like my ex who never listened to me," then you're starting on the defensive, constantly trying to prove that you're not like the men who came before you. Stoic wisdom teaches that true fulfillment comes from focusing on what's within your control, your actions, your character, your behavior. You can't control what her past experiences were or how she views them, but you can control how you respond to her comparisons. Rather than letting these comments chip away at your confidence or create tension, you can calmly steer the conversation toward the present. If she makes a remark about how her ex was so much more spontaneous, you can acknowledge her comment without getting defensive. Ask her what spontaneity means to her in this relationship and how the two of you can bring more of that quality into your lives. It's crucial not to fall into the trap of competing with her past. Trying to outshine or outperform her exes is a losing game, and it will only lead to resentment. Instead, shift the focus to the unique relationship that you're building together. You're not here to be better than the men who came before. You're here to offer her something different, something that comes from your own strengths and qualities. It's also important to communicate your feelings clearly. If the comparisons are becoming frequent, let her know how it makes you feel and that the two of you should focus on what's real in the present, not on past relationships. By steering the conversation toward the present, you're reminding her and yourself that the relationship you share is unique and it shouldn't be overshadowed by the ghosts of her past. The Stoics would advise you to maintain your own sense of self and integrity in the face of such challenges. Don't let her comparisons shake your confidence. Instead, focus on what you can control, your actions, your love, and your commitment, and let those qualities speak for themselves. Chapter 3: Resentment toward men in general. One of the more troubling signs that a woman may not have healed from her past relationships is when she expresses a deep mistrust or resentment toward men as a whole. You might hear phrases like, "I can't trust men," or "Men always let me down." While she may not be directly accusing you, these broad, sweeping statements about men as a collective reveal that she's harboring unresolved pain and possibly bitterness from past relationships. Stoicism teaches that we cannot control the actions of others, only our own responses to them. When a woman makes such generalizations, she's essentially projecting the wrongdoings of others onto you. Whether she realizes it or not, these statements create an invisible barrier between the two of you, preventing trust from fully developing. How can a relationship flourish when one partner has already decided that a whole gender, including you, is untrustworthy? It's essential to recognize that when a woman says she can't trust men, it's often a defense mechanism. She may have been hurt or betrayed in the past, and by painting all men with the same brush, she feels she's protecting herself from future pain. However, this mindset doesn't lead to healing or growth, it only deepens the divide. If she enters the relationship believing that betrayal is inevitable, she's setting the stage for a self-fulfilling prophecy. Her lack of trust may lead to behaviors that push you away or create unnecessary tension, ultimately reinforcing her belief that men are untrustworthy. As a Stoic, your role is to remain patient and centered. Rather than getting defensive or trying to convince her that you're different, focus on your own actions. Over time, trust is built not through words, but through consistent, reliable behavior. Show her through your actions that you are trustworthy and that her past does not define your relationship. But at the same time, it's important to have open, honest conversations about trust. Let her know how her comments make you feel and that trust is a two-way street. A relationship cannot survive without it. It's also important to establish healthy boundaries. If her mistrust of men begins to manifest as controlling or accusatory behavior, such as constantly checking up on you or questioning your loyalty, it's crucial to address this early on. A Stoic man remains firm in his values and does not allow himself to be unjustly accused or controlled by someone else's insecurities. Communicate openly about your need for trust and mutual respect, and if she's unable or unwilling to work on her issues, it may be a sign that she's not ready for a healthy relationship. Chapter 4: Secretive behavior around social events. If your partner frequently expresses a desire to attend social events alone or insists that you shouldn't accompany her to certain outings, this can be a subtle red flag. It might indicate unresolved issues from her past or an internal struggle with trust and intimacy. While maintaining separate social lives is healthy in any relationship, a consistent pattern of secretive behavior is worth paying attention to. If she's regularly excluding you from parts of her life, it raises serious questions about transparency, trust, and the overall health of your connection. From a Stoic perspective, honesty and openness are fundamental virtues. The Stoics believe that a relationship grounded in truth leads to harmony and deeper emotional connection. When secrets are kept, or when certain aspects of life are deliberately hidden, a division is created between partners. This distance can prevent the full emotional intimacy needed for a relationship to flourish. If your partner consistently insists on going to social events without you, it could signify deeper issues. These could range from a fear of losing her independence to lingering trust issues from past relationships. This behavior becomes particularly problematic when it starts to create emotional distance between you two. Over time, her frequent need to attend events alone, or her insistence that you remain uninvolved, may make you feel left out, unappreciated, or even suspicious. You might start questioning whether there's something she's hiding, even if that's not her intention. The key issue here is that this kind of secretive behavior can foster feelings of exclusion and mistrust, which, if left unaddressed, can erode the foundation of your relationship. For example, if she's consistently saying, "I'd rather go to this party alone," or "You don't need to come with me to this event," it's natural for you to wonder what's driving that need for separation. Is it simply a desire to maintain a sense of independence, or is there something deeper at play, like unresolved feelings from her past relationships, or a fear of being too vulnerable with you? It's essential to recognize that this pattern of behavior could stem from a lack of trust, either in you or in relationships in general, perhaps due to past hurts. The Stoics taught that one must address issues with calmness and clarity, seeking to understand the root causes rather than reacting with suspicion or frustration. When you notice this pattern, it's important to approach the subject calmly and with an open mind. Rather than confronting her with accusations or letting jealousy take over, have an honest conversation about why she feels the need to attend these events alone. Is she simply looking for time with friends, or is there something deeper that she's struggling to communicate? Giving her the space to explain her feelings without feeling cornered is crucial. She may be trying to assert her independence or preserve her identity within the relationship. But it's equally important for you to communicate your own feelings and concerns. Let her know how her secretive behavior makes you feel excluded, undervalued, or disconnected. This kind of dialogue can reveal whether her actions are simply a reflection of personal needs or whether there's a more significant issue at play. At the same time, it's essential to set clear boundaries. While it's perfectly fine for her to maintain her independence and enjoy time with her friends, a healthy relationship should be a shared experience. If she's unwilling to be more transparent or to explain why she's excluding you from certain events, it may suggest a deeper lack of trust or commitment. The Stoics believed in controlling what is within your power, and in this case, that means communicating your boundaries and expectations clearly. If she refuses to meet you halfway or dismisses your concerns, it's a strong indication that her past, perhaps unresolved trauma or a history of failed relationships, is still influencing her present behavior. Another layer to consider is whether her secretive behavior extends beyond social events. If she's withholding other aspects of her life, such as her interactions with certain people or her feelings about certain topics, it may point to a broader issue with vulnerability. A relationship requires openness on both sides, and if one partner is consistently hiding parts of their life, it creates an imbalance that can lead to greater mistrust. Transparency and honesty are essential for fostering emotional intimacy, and when a partner is secretive or distant, it can create feelings of loneliness, even when you're together. If her actions are driven by a fear of vulnerability or a need to maintain control, those fears need to be addressed head-on. Encourage her to be open about her feelings and motivations, and be willing to listen without judgment. However, if she continues to withhold parts of her life from you, it's important to assess whether this relationship is fulfilling for both of you. Furthermore, the Stoics would advise focusing on what you can control, your own actions and reactions, rather than becoming consumed by worry about what she might be hiding. If you've made your concerns known and she still chooses to be secretive or distant, it may be a sign that her past issues are too ingrained to resolve without significant personal growth on her part. In the end, a healthy relationship requires both partners to be transparent and committed to emotional openness. While it's important to respect her need for independence, ongoing secretive behavior creates a barrier that prevents true connection. The Stoics believed in the power of wisdom through understanding, and in this case, that wisdom involves recognizing when a partner's behavior is damaging the relationship and when it's time to have a serious conversation about trust, transparency, and commitment. Chapter 5. Bringing up past mistakes too often. One of the most telling signs that a woman is carrying unresolved baggage from her past relationships is when she frequently brings up your past mistakes, even after they've been addressed or supposedly forgiven. While it's natural to reflect on the past occasionally, especially in moments of conflict or insecurity, constantly revisiting old wounds can create a toxic environment. When your past mistakes are brought up repeatedly, it doesn't just indicate that she's still hurt, it also suggests that she hasn't fully processed or moved on from her previous experiences. This creates a cycle of blame, resentment, and tension, preventing the relationship from moving forward in a healthy way. From a Stoic perspective, forgiveness is a key component to emotional peace and personal growth. The Stoics emphasized the importance of releasing grudges and anger because holding on to these negative emotions only harms the person carrying them. In the context of a relationship, bringing up past mistakes over and over again not only traps your partner in a constant state of guilt, but it also traps you in a state of unresolved pain and distrust. If your partner is unable to let go of your past errors, she's not allowing either of you the opportunity to grow, heal, and move forward. This kind of behavior, constantly revisiting mistakes, often points to deeper issues within her, such as unresolved trust problems. She may have been hurt in the past by someone who betrayed her or broke her trust, and as a result, she's hypervigilant, always on the lookout for signs that history will repeat itself. Unfortunately, this mindset means that she's always waiting for you to slip up again, even if you've made sincere efforts to change or have already apologized for your actions. The Stoics believed that human beings are capable of change and growth, but they also understood that holding on to past grievances hinders that growth. For a relationship to flourish, both partners need to give each other space to evolve. Constantly reminding someone of their past mistakes doesn't allow them the opportunity to improve, and it reinforces the idea that they will never be good enough or capable of real change. When a woman brings up past mistakes frequently, it's crucial to approach the situation with patience and understanding. First, you need to validate her feelings. If your actions hurt her in the past, acknowledging that pain can help her feel heard and understood. However, it's equally important to remind her that constantly dwelling on past mistakes is harmful, not just to you, but to the relationship as a whole. Let her know that while it's okay to learn from the past, the relationship can't thrive if it's stuck in a loop of blame and resentment. To address this issue effectively, you'll need to have an open and honest conversation about why she keeps bringing up the past. Ask her what's driving these feelings and whether there's something more she needs from you to feel secure in the relationship. In some cases, she may need more reassurance or deeper communication to rebuild her trust. But in other cases, it may be less about what you're doing now and more about her unresolved emotional baggage from previous relationships. If that's the case, it's important to recognize that her struggle to let go of the past may not be something you can fix on your own. The Stoics believed that while we can't control other people's emotions or actions, we can control how we respond. If your partner is unwilling or unable to let go of the past, you may need to set boundaries to protect your own emotional well-being. A healthy relationship requires both partners to be willing to forgive, grow, and focus on the present and future. If she's constantly pulling the relationship back into past mistakes, it's a sign that she may not be ready to move forward. Over time, the strain of constantly being reminded of past errors can erode the foundation of trust and respect in the relationship. You may start to feel as though nothing you do is good enough, and that no matter how much you've changed or tried to improve, she'll always see you through the lens of your past mistakes. This can lead to frustration, resentment, and emotional exhaustion for both of you. In the worst-case scenario, it can even cause the relationship to break down entirely. If your partner continues to hold on to the past despite your best efforts to address it, it's important to have a serious discussion about the future of the relationship. Explain that while you understand her pain, the constant focus on past mistakes is damaging the relationship and preventing both of you from moving forward. Be clear about your own boundaries and what you need in order to feel respected and valued in the relationship. The Stoics taught that true wisdom comes from knowing when to let go of things that are outside of our control. In the case of a partner who can't stop bringing up the past, you need to decide whether you're willing to continue trying to repair the relationship or if it's time to step back and focus on your own growth and well-being. At the end of the day, a healthy relationship requires both partners to be able to forgive, trust, and move forward together. If one person is constantly stuck in the past, it's impossible to build a future. As the Stoics would remind us, holding on to old wounds doesn't just hurt the other person, it hurts ourselves, and it keeps us from living fully in the present. If your partner can't let go of your past mistakes, it may be time to ask whether she's truly ready to be in a relationship where both partners can grow and evolve together. Chapter 6: Emotional Walls and Detachment. Another sign that a woman may be carrying unresolved baggage from her past is when she starts putting up emotional walls or becoming detached in the relationship. Emotional walls can manifest in many ways. Maybe she's unwilling to be vulnerable with you, avoids deep conversations, or emotionally shuts down when things get too serious. While everyone has different comfort levels when it comes to vulnerability, an inability to open up or a pattern of emotional detachment often points to past wounds that haven't healed. The Stoics believed in the power of vulnerability as a means of achieving true connection and understanding. They emphasized the importance of facing one's emotions head-on rather than avoiding them. When someone builds emotional walls, it's usually a defense mechanism stemming from fear of being hurt, fear of abandonment, or fear of betrayal. If a woman has experienced pain in past relationships, she may have developed these walls as a way to protect herself. Unfortunately, these defenses can also prevent her from fully investing in a new relationship. One common phrase you might hear when these emotional walls come up is, "I don't want to get too attached." While it seems harmless on the surface, it reveals a deeper hesitation to emotionally commit. It's a subtle acknowledgement that she's bracing for potential heartbreak and is afraid of becoming vulnerable. If you've heard her say this, or something similar, it's a clear sign that her past experiences may be influencing how she navigates emotional intimacy. In a healthy relationship, both partners should feel safe enough to be emotionally open and honest with each other. If she's constantly distancing herself, refusing to engage on a deeper level, or brushing off important emotional discussions, it can leave you feeling disconnected and unsure of where you stand. This detachment can be especially frustrating if you're doing your best to create a space where both of you can be vulnerable and grow together. It's essential to approach this with patience and empathy. Understand that her emotional walls likely come from a place of fear rather than malice. However, it's also important to communicate your need for emotional connection. A relationship cannot thrive if one partner is always keeping the other at arm's length. The Stoics would advise you to be steadfast in your own emotional integrity, be open, but don't push too hard. Encourage her to share her feelings, but respect her pace. At the same time, it's important to set boundaries for yourself. If her emotional detachment starts affecting your well-being or making you feel unappreciated, you have every right to address it. Let her know that while you understand her need for space, a relationship requires emotional engagement from both partners. If she's unwilling or unable to break down those walls, it may indicate that she's not ready for the kind of emotional intimacy that a healthy relationship requires. You can't force someone to open up, but you can decide what kind of relationship dynamic you're willing to accept. The Stoic philosophy teaches that while you can't control how someone else behaves, you can control how you respond to their actions. If her emotional detachment becomes too difficult to navigate, it's worth considering whether this relationship is truly fulfilling your emotional needs. At the end of the day, mutual emotional investment is essential for long-term connection and growth. Chapter 7. Lack of accountability for her past. One of the final signs that a woman may be carrying unresolved issues from her past is when she refuses to take accountability for her actions or behavior in previous relationships. You might notice that whenever the subject of past relationships comes up, she always casts herself as the victim. Her exes were always to blame, and she never did anything wrong. While it's entirely possible that she's had difficult relationships in the past, a pattern of never acknowledging her own role in those situations is a red flag. The Stoics believed in self-reflection and personal responsibility. They taught that wisdom comes from the ability to look inward and recognize one's own faults, learning from them to grow and become better. If a woman is unwilling to take accountability for her part in past relationships, it's a sign that she hasn't done the necessary self-reflection to heal and move forward. This can create problems in your current relationship because, without that accountability, she may be doomed to repeat the same mistakes. A phrase you might hear in these situations is, "I've never done anything wrong. It's always been the guys I've dated." This kind of statement is a clear signal that she is deflecting any personal responsibility and placing all the blame on others. While it's natural to have grievances from past relationships, refusing to acknowledge her role in those experiences may prevent her from growing and healing. When someone refuses to acknowledge their role in past conflicts, it becomes nearly impossible to resolve future ones. If she believes that she was always the victim and never had any responsibility for how things unfolded, then she's likely to approach your relationship with the same mindset. This can lead to an unhealthy dynamic where she deflects blame onto you or refuses to work on issues that arise because she believes she's never at fault. It's important to have open, honest conversations about accountability. Ask her to reflect on what she's learned from her past relationships and how those lessons can help both of you grow together. Encourage her to recognize that every relationship is a two-way street, and that personal growth comes from acknowledging not only how others may have hurt us, but also how we may have contributed to the situation. At the same time, be mindful of how you approach this conversation. The Stoics taught that change comes through gentle persuasion and leading by example, not through harsh criticism. If she feels attacked, she's likely to shut down even more. Instead, model the kind of accountability you'd like to see by reflecting on your own experiences and how they've shaped your behavior. By showing her that it's okay to acknowledge mistakes and learn from them, you may encourage her to do the same. However, it's important to recognize that if she remains unwilling to take responsibility for her actions, it may signal a deeper issue. A relationship cannot thrive when one partner is constantly deflecting blame or refusing to grow. The Stoics would remind you that while it's important to give others the opportunity to change, you also have the right to protect your own emotional well-being. If she continues to avoid accountability, it may be worth considering whether this relationship is truly fulfilling your needs for growth, trust, and mutual respect. At the end of the day, a successful relationship requires both partners to be accountable for their actions and willing to work on their flaws. Without that mutual commitment, it becomes difficult to build a lasting, healthy connection. The Stoics would advise you to approach this with patience and clarity, but to also remain firm in your own boundaries. A relationship based on blame shifting and avoidance of accountability will never allow you both to reach your full potential as a couple. As we wrap up this episode, it's important to remember that relationships are a journey of growth and understanding. The Stoics believed that wisdom and peace come from recognizing what we can control and accepting what we cannot. In the context of relationships, this means being aware of the behaviors and phrases that might indicate unresolved baggage and addressing them with patience, empathy, and clarity. A woman who utters any of these 7 phrases may be reflecting pain or unresolved issues from her past, but it's not necessarily the end of the relationship. What matters is how you both respond to these challenges. By staying true to your values, maintaining open communication, and setting healthy boundaries, you create a foundation of trust and respect. Remember, no relationship is without its hurdles, but with the right mindset and approach, you can turn these challenges into opportunities for growth. It's about being present, being mindful, and being committed to mutual respect and understanding. The Stoics would remind us that love and partnership require continuous effort, but the rewards of a strong, connected relationship are worth the work. If you found value in today's episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and comment below. Share your own experiences and let us know if you've ever encountered similar situations in your relationships. Your stories might help others going through the same thing, and together we can build stronger, healthier partnerships. Thanks for watching, and until next time, stay wise and keep growing. The Stoics, in their wisdom, understood human nature and relationships in ways that still resonate today. They were masters of emotional control, self-discipline, and clarity of thought, all qualities essential in navigating relationships with women. One of the most critical lessons they taught was the power of discretion. Knowing when to speak and when to remain silent is key to maintaining a balanced, healthy relationship. Some things, once said, cannot be unsaid, and knowing what not to share with your partner is often more important than knowing what to say. In today's episode, we're diving into 7 things you should never tell your woman. These are the hidden landmines that most men are completely unaware of, things that can slowly erode trust, respect, and connection if not handled with care. Make sure to watch until the end, like, subscribe, and drop a comment if you've experienced any of these in your relationships. Share your story with us and let's learn from each other. Chapter 1: Your Past Romantic Conquests. A lot of men fall into the trap of oversharing when it comes to their past relationships, thinking that full transparency about every detail of their romantic history will strengthen the bond with their current partner. This belief comes from a well-meaning place. Openness and honesty are often seen as the foundation of trust. However, in reality, oversharing can have the opposite effect, especially when it comes to past romantic conquests. Talking about previous sexual or emotional relationships often stirs feelings of jealousy, insecurity, and comparison. Even if those relationships are long over and seemingly irrelevant, the details can linger in the mind of your partner, potentially damaging the connection you're trying to build. The Stoics, who were masters of emotional discipline, teach us an important lesson here. They believed that what truly matters is the present moment, the here and now, rather than dwelling on the past. While you shouldn't hide essential aspects of your history, there is wisdom in maintaining some discretion about certain details. Your past, especially your romantic past, is something that shaped you, but it doesn't define your current relationship. Describing every detail about your exes, recounting how great certain experiences were, or even subtly comparing past partners to your current one can trigger unnecessary emotional turmoil. It often invites a flood of insecurities, making your partner feel like she's competing with ghosts from your past. It's important to recognize that women, like men, have emotional vulnerabilities. Even the most secure woman can find herself questioning her worth when confronted with detailed stories of your romantic history. Your partner might wonder if she measures up, or worse, feel like she's living in the shadow of your past relationships. This can create emotional distance between you, as her mind becomes occupied with thoughts of not being enough or fearing that she doesn't compare favorably to your exes. The subtle consequence of oversharing can be the erosion of her confidence in the relationship, making her less secure in her position as your partner. Furthermore, focusing too much on your past relationships can lead to an unhealthy dynamic where your partner feels like you're emotionally or mentally stuck in those moments. Even if you're only sharing for the sake of transparency, the effect can be that she feels like she's not your priority. The Stoics would argue that clinging to the past, whether it's reliving past pleasures or romanticizing old relationships, prevents you from fully engaging with the present. If your partner senses that you're still emotionally attached to past lovers or experiences, she may question whether you've truly moved on or if you're still holding on to memories of someone else. This lingering doubt can create tension, mistrust, and insecurity, all of which undermine the foundation of a healthy relationship. Instead of recounting every detail of your romantic history, show your partner through your actions that she is the one who matters now. What's important is not where you've been, but where you're going together. Your past relationships were part of your journey, but they are not your present reality. Focus on building a future with your partner, demonstrating through your behavior, love, and commitment that she is your priority. The Stoics would remind us that it is what you do in the present that counts, how you treat your partner today, how you make her feel valued, secure, and cherished. Additionally, you should strive to avoid unnecessary comparisons between your current partner and your exes. Every relationship is unique, and by comparing your partner to those in the past, you diminish her individuality and create an environment where she feels like she's in competition with women who are no longer part of your life. Instead, celebrate the qualities that make her special and let your actions reflect that she is incomparable to anyone who came before. By focusing on the present and future, rather than dwelling on or romanticizing the past, you create a stronger, more resilient bond. In conclusion, your past romantic conquests are not details you need to share extensively with your partner. While honesty is crucial, there's a fine line between being open and oversharing to the detriment of your relationship. Practice the Stoic principle of living in the present, value the person you are with now, without letting the shadows of your past interfere with your current happiness. Build trust, security, and intimacy by focusing on the here and now, and let your actions speak louder than words. In doing so, you create a relationship grounded in mutual respect and emotional security, free from the distractions of past relationships. Chapter 2: Family Secrets. One of the most overlooked aspects of privacy in relationships is the importance of keeping family secrets to yourself. While it might feel natural to share intimate details of your family's history or internal matters with your partner, doing so can sometimes lead to unintended and even damaging consequences. Family secrets often involve sensitive, deeply personal, or complicated issues that require a high level of discretion. Whether it's a hidden financial struggle, a past legal issue, an ongoing feud, or any other deeply personal matter, these topics are usually private for a reason. Sharing them with someone outside the family, even your closest partner, can permanently alter how they view your family and potentially create unnecessary tension in your relationship. The Stoics understood the importance of discretion and silence when it came to sensitive matters, especially those outside one's control. They taught that expending energy on things that can't be changed is often unwise, and many family secrets fall into this category. When these secrets involve multiple family members and long-standing issues, revealing them to someone outside the family can not only make things more difficult, but can also have a ripple effect on your personal life. Your partner might have strong emotional reactions, or worse, she might view the issue differently than you expect. Once a family secret is shared, there's no taking it back, and your partner might not always handle the information in the way you hope or anticipate. For example, imagine telling your partner about a long-standing family conflict or grudge. You might feel a sense of relief from getting it off your chest, but it could inadvertently change the way your partner perceives your family. Perhaps she starts to view certain family members in a negative light or even begins to judge them based on the information you've shared. This shift in perspective could lead to friction between her and your family, making interactions and family gatherings awkward or uncomfortable. Over time, this can create a wedge in your relationship, and in extreme cases, she might even try to influence your opinion of your family, leading to internal conflict and strained loyalties. Beyond this, sharing family secrets can also erode the trust that your family has placed in you. When your family shares sensitive information with you, they expect you to keep it within the confines of the family circle. Betraying that trust by discussing these private matters with your partner can cause serious damage to your relationships with family members. The Stoics were firm advocates of maintaining loyalty and integrity, and in this context, that means knowing when to keep certain things confidential. While transparency in a relationship is important, there are boundaries that should be respected, especially when it comes to the trust your family has in you. It's important to recognize that while honest communication with your partner is vital, not every detail of your life needs to be shared. Some family issues simply don't have any bearing on your relationship, and dragging your partner into these matters can create unnecessary complications. Certain topics, such as past mistakes or lingering family disputes, are better kept private unless they directly affect your relationship. By exercising caution and discretion, you maintain the trust of both your family and your partner. You also prevent creating additional, unnecessary stress and potential conflicts in your relationship. Another important aspect to consider is the emotional burden that sharing family secrets can place on your partner. When you bring her into these complex and often unresolved family issues, you might unintentionally burden her with emotional baggage she didn't ask for. Depending on the nature of the secret, it can become an emotional weight that she carries in her interactions with your family. This can lead to increased anxiety, awkwardness, or discomfort during family gatherings, and ultimately strain the relationship. Furthermore, revealing family secrets can put your partner in a difficult position. She may feel torn between maintaining a respectful distance from your family's issues or feeling compelled to offer her opinions and judgments. Neither of these situations is ideal, as they can either make her feel isolated or overly involved in something that doesn't directly concern her. The Stoics would remind us that peace and harmony in relationships are often maintained by knowing when to speak and when to remain silent. Just as they believed in self-restraint and managing emotional reactions, they would also advise keeping certain personal matters private to preserve that harmony. On a broader level, sharing family secrets can make it more difficult for your partner to feel fully integrated into your family. If she knows about deep-seated issues or has heard criticisms of certain family members, she may find it hard to build genuine connections with your family. The knowledge of those secrets can color her perceptions and interactions, making it hard for her to feel fully welcomed or comfortable around your loved ones. This can result in a disconnect between her and your family, which in turn may lead to tension between you and your partner. It's also worth noting that discussing family secrets can unintentionally shape the trajectory of your relationship. Once certain things are out in the open, they can influence the way your partner views not just your family, but also you. For example, if you reveal a family history of conflict or dishonesty, it could lead her to question whether those traits might emerge in your relationship. While these concerns might be unfounded, the mere act of sharing certain information can open the door to doubts that didn't exist before. In conclusion, family secrets are delicate matters that should be handled with great care. While it's natural to want to share your life with your partner, it's important to recognize that there are boundaries that should be respected, particularly when it comes to family matters that don't directly impact your relationship. The Stoics would remind us that discretion is often the better part of wisdom, especially when it comes to sensitive issues that don't serve any immediate purpose in the present. By keeping family secrets private, you not only protect the integrity and trust within your family, but you also safeguard the health of your relationship by avoiding unnecessary drama and tension. Chapter 3: Family Opinions. Another critical subject to avoid discussing with your partner is the negative opinions your family might have about her. While it's common for family members to have opinions about your relationship, sharing those criticisms with your partner can create unnecessary tension and long-lasting emotional damage. Family dynamics are often complicated, and although you might feel obligated to be transparent about what your family thinks, doing so can lead to hurt feelings, resentment, and issues that could be difficult to repair. The Stoics, who deeply understood human nature, believed that not every thought or opinion needed to be shared. Their philosophy teaches us to focus on what truly matters and to remain silent when speaking would do more harm than good. Similarly, in relationships, it's important to know when to withhold certain information to protect the emotional well-being of your partner. Sharing every critical comment made by your family only serves to cause insecurity and distrust. Instead, as a partner, part of your role is to safeguard the relationship, and this includes shielding your partner from unnecessary emotional pain or family drama. By revealing negative opinions from your family, you place your partner in an uncomfortable and difficult position. She may feel like she has to compete for your approval or prove her worth, not just to you, but to your family as well. This can quickly lead to a toxic dynamic where she feels alienated or unwelcome at family gatherings, which can cause friction both between the two of you and between her and your family. Over time, this can erode the foundation of your relationship, making it difficult for her to feel genuinely accepted or comfortable in family settings. Moreover, revealing such opinions might even make her question your loyalty. She may start to wonder why you're willing to entertain such negativity about her in the first place, which could weaken the trust and bond between you. It's essential to understand that your partner looks to you for protection and support, particularly when it comes to external criticisms. By relaying your family's disapprovals, you fail to defend her, causing a breach in your relationship's sense of security. Rather than sharing every critical remark, it's wiser to focus on fostering mutual respect between your partner and your family. If there are legitimate concerns from your family, it's better to address those issues privately and diplomatically without dragging your partner into the conflict. The Stoics emphasized the importance of maintaining harmony in all relationships, and much of that harmony comes from discerning when to speak and when to remain silent. Addressing family concerns privately allows you to resolve issues without creating unnecessary tension between your partner and family. A key aspect of this approach is prioritizing your loyalty to your partner. In a committed relationship, your allegiance must shift from your family to the person you've chosen to build a life with. This means standing up for her in front of your family, even when it's uncomfortable. Allowing negative opinions to infiltrate your relationship weakens your bond and can make your partner question your commitment. By keeping those opinions private and handling any concerns discreetly, you protect your relationship from unnecessary drama and ensure that your partner feels valued and supported. In some cases, sharing negative family opinions can even alter how your partner perceives your family. If she becomes aware that certain family members dislike her or don't approve of the relationship, it could permanently damage her willingness to build a healthy connection with them. Once the seeds of distrust are planted, it becomes challenging to foster genuine relationships between your partner and family. She might feel defensive or wary around them, which can further strain the relationship. On the other hand, if you take the Stoic approach and carefully mediate between your partner and family without revealing hurtful opinions, you set the stage for a more harmonious relationship. By handling conflicts diplomatically behind the scenes, you create an environment where your family and partner can coexist peacefully, even if they don't always agree. Ultimately, your loyalty should be to your partner. Defending her in front of your family is crucial for maintaining trust and respect in your relationship. Allowing negative family opinions to take root in your relationship weakens your bond and can lead to long-term issues that are difficult to overcome. By protecting her from those negative opinions, you show her that you are fully committed to the relationship and prioritize her well-being above all else. In conclusion, it's essential to navigate family dynamics with care. Sharing negative family opinions with your partner may seem like honesty, but in reality, it often does more harm than good. Protect your relationship by fostering mutual understanding and respect between your partner and family, and handle any family concerns with maturity and discretion. In doing so, you'll create a healthier, more resilient relationship that's built on trust, loyalty, and emotional security. Chapter 4: Financial Support to Family and Friends. One topic that men often overlook when it comes to privacy in relationships is financial support to family and friends. While honesty about major financial decisions is crucial in any partnership, constantly discussing how you help others financially can lead to misunderstandings, resentment, and even tension between you and your partner. She might begin to question your financial priorities or feel uncertain about your level of commitment to the relationship if she perceives that too much of your resources are being diverted elsewhere. The Stoics placed a strong emphasis on self-reliance, responsibility, and focusing on what one can control. In a modern relationship, this translates to managing your financial decisions with wisdom and discretion. It's not about hiding things from your partner, but about ensuring that the information you share doesn't cause unnecessary emotional strain. Financial matters are one of the most common sources of conflict in relationships, and when you add the complexities of supporting family or friends into the mix, it can further strain things. There's a fine line between being transparent and oversharing. If you're assisting a family member or friend financially, it's essential to manage it with a sense of discretion and care. Your partner doesn't need to know every detail of the arrangement, especially if it's not impacting your shared financial goals. Sharing too much can lead to feelings of jealousy or competition, as your partner may feel like she's being placed second to others in your life. This can create a toxic dynamic where she starts to question your priorities, loyalty, or commitment to the relationship. This doesn't mean you should never discuss your finances with your partner. It's about balance. Major financial decisions that affect your life together should always be transparent. However, when it comes to helping family members or friends, it's important to gauge how much detail is necessary to share. If you're handling your responsibilities in the relationship and contributing to your shared goals, then there's no need to complicate things by disclosing every time you lend a helping hand to someone else. Financial support can also carry emotional weight. If your partner feels like you're investing too much of your resources in others, she might begin to worry about where she stands in your life. In some cases, she might even feel like her own needs are being overlooked. It's not uncommon for partners to start feeling insecure or unimportant when they believe too much of your energy, whether emotional or financial, is being directed elsewhere. This insecurity can lead to conflict, with your partner questioning why you're prioritizing others over your shared future. The Stoics believed in focusing on what truly matters in the present and avoiding unnecessary distractions. In the context of your relationship, this means ensuring that your financial decisions reflect the shared goals and values you've established as a couple. While it's noble to support family and friends, this shouldn't come at the cost of your own relationship. If your partner feels like her needs and your joint priorities are being overshadowed by your financial commitments to others, it can lead to a breakdown in communication and trust. It's also important to recognize that financial discussions can often lead to a power struggle in relationships. If your partner begins to feel like she has no say in how money is being allocated or that her opinions on the matter aren't valued, this can cause friction. Maintaining an open dialogue about significant financial decisions while keeping some matters private can help to avoid unnecessary disputes and power struggles. It's about maintaining balance, ensuring that your relationship remains the priority while still providing help where it's truly needed. When it comes to long-term financial health in a relationship, the key is to stay focused on what benefits both you and your partner. Establishing mutual financial goals, whether that's saving for a home, investing in a future business venture, or preparing for retirement, should take precedence over other commitments. When you're on the same page financially, you build trust and security within the relationship, which makes it easier to navigate other challenges, including the decision to offer financial help to others. Another point to consider is the difference between a supportive partner and a possessive one. It's natural for your partner to have concerns if she feels like you're giving away too much of your resources to others, especially if it's impacting your shared life. However, it's also essential that you don't allow these concerns to escalate into control. If your partner starts dictating how you can support family and friends or becomes overly possessive about your financial decisions, that's a red flag. Relationships thrive on trust and respect, and both partners need to feel comfortable with how financial matters are handled without exerting undue control over one another. In summary, while it's vital to be transparent about major financial decisions, it's equally important to avoid discussing every detail of financial support you provide to family and friends. This helps maintain a healthy balance in your relationship, preventing unnecessary tension and misunderstandings. The Stoics would advise focusing on what matters most in the present, your relationship, and ensuring that your financial decisions reflect the shared values and goals you've built together. Keeping some financial matters private, while being open about what directly impacts the two of you, can lead to a stronger, more resilient partnership. Ultimately, financial harmony in a relationship requires wisdom, discretion, and clear communication. By maintaining a balance between openness and privacy, you can safeguard your relationship from unnecessary strain while still fulfilling your obligations to those you care about. Keep the Stoic principle of focusing on what you can control in mind, and remember that your relationship should always come first in the grand scheme of your financial life. Chapter 5: Your Insecurities. Sharing your insecurities with a woman is another thing that can often lead to unintended consequences. While it might feel like opening up about your deepest fears and vulnerabilities will bring you closer together, in many cases, it can do the opposite. Women, especially early in a relationship, tend to be attracted to men who exude confidence and strength. Constantly discussing your insecurities can undermine this image and shift the dynamic in a way that affects both your relationship and how she views you. The Stoics believed that internal challenges and struggles should be met with resilience and fortitude. They preached the importance of self-control, especially when it came to managing emotions and weaknesses. While it's important to be authentic in your relationships, this doesn't mean you need to reveal every doubt or insecurity you have. Dwelling on these issues can make them more significant than they need to be, and it can also place an emotional burden on your partner that she may not be prepared to handle. When you reveal too many of your insecurities, you might unintentionally make your partner feel like she needs to fix you or support you in ways she may not be equipped to do. This can create an unhealthy dynamic where she starts to see you as emotionally dependent or fragile, which can diminish her attraction to you over time. Worse still, if your insecurities revolve around your relationship, such as fears of infidelity or feelings of inadequacy compared to other men, it can sow seeds of doubt in her mind that wouldn't have been there otherwise. This doesn't mean you should never discuss your insecurities, but rather that you should be selective and intentional about how and when you bring them up. Sharing your vulnerabilities after you've already established a strong foundation of trust and attraction can be powerful. It shows that you trust her and are comfortable being yourself around her. But sharing every small doubt or fear too early or too often can weaken the image of strength and self-assurance that initially attracted her to you. Instead of focusing on your insecurities, focus on improving yourself and working through those issues on your own. The Stoics would advise building inner resilience and learning to overcome your challenges without relying on external validation. This not only makes you a stronger person, but also a more attractive partner. When you exude confidence, even in the face of personal challenges, you inspire trust and admiration in your partner. In conclusion, while sharing insecurities can sometimes deepen a connection, it's essential to approach the subject with caution. Don't make your insecurities the focal point of your relationship. Instead, work on improving yourself and share your vulnerabilities in a way that strengthens rather than weakens your bond. Chapter 6: Your Detailed Financial Situation. Another thing you should be cautious about sharing with your partner is every detail of your financial situation. Money is one of the most common sources of tension in relationships, and oversharing about your financial situation, whether it's good or bad, can create unnecessary pressure or insecurity. While it's essential to be transparent about significant financial decisions, especially in a committed relationship, constantly discussing every financial detail can lead to problems. The Stoics were firm believers in balance and moderation. In the context of relationships, this means maintaining a healthy balance between transparency and discretion when it comes to finances. If you're constantly discussing your financial worries or triumphs, it can create an uneven power dynamic where your partner either feels like she needs to take care of you or feels inferior because of her own financial situation. For example, if you're struggling financially and make it a frequent topic of conversation, your partner might start to feel insecure about the future of your relationship. She may worry about your ability to provide or to contribute to shared goals like buying a house, starting a family, or traveling together. On the flip side, if you're doing exceptionally well financially and frequently discuss your successes, it can create feelings of inadequacy or inferiority, especially if she's not in the same financial position. While it's important to be honest about significant financial matters like debts, major purchases, or financial commitments, there's no need to share every detail of your bank account or investments. Doing so can place undue pressure on the relationship and shift the focus away from what really matters, your connection and shared values. Instead, focus on building a healthy financial partnership where both of you feel comfortable and secure, without constantly comparing numbers or worrying about financial status. Moreover, sharing too much about your finances can also open the door to control issues. If your partner starts to feel like she has a say in how you manage your money, or vice versa, it can lead to arguments and resentment. Financial independence is crucial, even in a committed relationship, and maintaining that independence means keeping some aspects of your financial life private. In summary, while financial transparency is important, especially in long-term relationships, oversharing can lead to unnecessary stress and tension. The Stoics would advise maintaining balance and focusing on what's truly important in your relationship, rather than getting bogged down by every financial detail. Chapter 7. Comparing her to other women. Perhaps one of the most damaging things you can do in a relationship is to compare your partner to other women, whether explicitly or subtly. This is a sure way to undermine her confidence and create feelings of insecurity and resentment. Whether it's comparing her looks, personality, habits, or career, making these comparisons, especially to exes or other women in your life, can have lasting negative effects on your relationship. The Stoics believed in focusing on the present and accepting people as they are, without constantly measuring them against others. In the context of relationships, this means appreciating your partner for who she is, without comparing her to someone else. Constant comparisons signal that you're dissatisfied or that you believe she falls short in some way, which can erode the emotional connection you've built. For example, if you tell your partner that your ex was more attractive or more successful in her career, you're essentially planting seeds of doubt in her mind. She may begin to feel like she's not good enough or that you're constantly evaluating her based on an impossible standard. This can lead to insecurity, jealousy, and ultimately a breakdown in trust and intimacy. Even more subtle comparisons, like commenting on how other women dress or behave, can have a similar effect. Your partner might start to feel like she's not living up to your expectations or that you're always on the lookout for something better. This can lead to feelings of inadequacy and create a wedge between the two of you. The Stoics would advise against focusing on external appearances or superficial qualities, instead valuing the deeper qualities that truly matter in a person. It's crucial to make your partner feel appreciated and valued for who she is, not how she compares to others. Building a strong, healthy relationship means focusing on the unique qualities that make her special and avoiding any discussions that make her feel like she's in competition with other women. In conclusion, never compare your partner to other women, whether consciously or unconsciously. The Stoics believed in the importance of accepting and appreciating people as they are, and this philosophy is especially important in relationships. By focusing on your partner's unique qualities and avoiding comparisons, you strengthen your bond and build a relationship based on mutual respect and admiration. As we wrap up, remember that mastering the dynamics of a relationship is a lifelong journey, one that the Stoics themselves emphasized through their teachings on human nature and self-awareness. The things you choose to share or keep private play a huge role in how strong your relationship becomes. While honesty and transparency are important, knowing what to keep to yourself is equally vital for building trust and maintaining respect. By being mindful of what you say and how it impacts your partner, you're creating an environment where both of you can grow and thrive together without unnecessary tension or insecurity. If you take away anything from today's episode, let it be this: just as the Stoics taught, balance is key. Knowing when to speak and when to remain silent is an art that will help you navigate the complexities of your relationship with grace and wisdom. So, if you found today's insights helpful, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who might need to hear it. And if you've had any personal experiences related to the things we've talked about, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your stories and thoughts. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, stay strong, stay wise, and keep mastering the art of relationships. Stoics, throughout their long and meaningful lives, mastered the art of human observation and understanding. They believed that the body holds profound clues about one's character, emotions, and desires, and this includes women's bodies. By paying close attention to subtle details, we can uncover surprising psychological facts that might challenge common assumptions. In today's episode, we're diving into the psychology behind certain physical traits, focusing specifically on women's bodies and exploring how they might reveal hidden truths. Before we jump into this fascinating topic, remember to watch this video till the end. If you enjoy content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment below with your thoughts or personal experiences. Let's get into the 7 chapters that will surely shock you. Chapter 1: The Significance of a Small Nose. Have you ever noticed how some women with smaller noses seem to carry certain distinctive traits? While it might sound peculiar, there's been a long-standing belief that the size of a woman's nose could be linked to other characteristics of her body, particularly her intimate anatomy, commonly referred to as her sex. Throughout history, and even in certain modern psychological theories, this idea has persisted, sparking curiosity about whether there's any truth to it. The Stoics, keen observers of both human behavior and biology, would likely have recognized the nose as more than just a facial feature. To them, it might have represented a gateway to understanding a person's overall health, vitality, and even personality traits. From an evolutionary standpoint, a smaller nose has often been considered a feminine trait. Society tends to associate smaller noses with a sense of delicacy or fragility, which in turn raises questions about what this might suggest regarding a woman's intimate anatomy. While the connection between nose size and body features might not have a firm scientific backing, it's deeply rooted in cultural perceptions. Many people believe that a smaller nose may reflect a smaller, more refined intimate area, aligning with the broader idea that a smaller physical frame or feature is often associated with refinement or subtlety. This concept can be traced back to ancient beliefs, where various facial and bodily traits were thought to reveal deeper truths about a person's body and even their sexual nature. There's a certain psychological comfort in making these kinds of assumptions. Humans have always been driven by the need to categorize and make sense of the world around them. This extends to how we interpret physical traits, especially when it comes to attraction and sexuality. A small nose might seem like an insignificant detail, but for centuries, it's been regarded as a marker of femininity, suggesting a woman's overall softness, elegance, and, in some cases, the size of her intimate anatomy. It's worth noting that this belief varies across cultures. In some societies, a small nose has been highly prized, linked to notions of beauty and refinement. women with smaller noses were often seen as having delicate, almost ethereal qualities, which extended to other parts of their bodies. In these cultures, the nose became a symbol of grace, and people believed that it could provide insights into a woman's overall physical traits, including her intimate areas. However, we must remember that no two women are the same, and while these kinds of physical correlations might appeal to our sense of order and predictability, they don't always hold true. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of observing without jumping to conclusions. Just because a woman has a small nose doesn't mean her body will fit neatly into a predetermined category. The human body, in all its variety, is full of surprises. In many ways, this belief about nose size and intimate anatomy might be more of a reflection of cultural norms and psychological tendencies rather than a concrete truth. From a psychological standpoint, the belief in these physical correlations might also stem from a desire to find patterns in the seemingly unpredictable world of attraction and human relationships. People often look for small details to help them navigate the complexities of physical and emotional connections. A small nose, while just one aspect of a person's appearance, can become a focal point for assumptions about that person's overall body and sexuality. But the Stoics would caution against putting too much stock in such assumptions. While these beliefs might provide an interesting framework, they shouldn't be taken as fact. Moreover, the association of a small nose with refinement and femininity has been amplified by media and cultural standards of beauty. In modern times, a small, button-like nose is often seen as an ideal, particularly in Western cultures. This perception reinforces the idea that a small nose equals a delicate, feminine appearance and, by extension, a delicate, smaller intimate anatomy. However, as the Stoics might remind us, beauty standards are fluid and subjective. What one culture values in terms of physical traits, another might see as unremarkable. It's also interesting to consider how the nose fits into the larger picture of facial symmetry and overall attractiveness. Psychological studies have long suggested that symmetry in the face plays a key role in how we perceive beauty. A smaller nose can contribute to that symmetry, enhancing the perception of attractiveness and, for some, even hinting at refined physical features elsewhere. But again, this is only one small piece of a much larger puzzle. While some people might continue to believe in the connection between a small nose and a woman's intimate areas, it's important to approach these beliefs with a degree of skepticism and nuance. The human body is far too complex to be fully understood through physical traits alone. Every woman is unique, and while cultural and psychological factors might lead us to draw connections between certain features, the Stoics would urge us to look deeper, beyond surface-level assumptions. In conclusion, while the size of a woman's nose might spark curiosity and serve as a point of discussion, it's just one part of her overall essence. The notion that a smaller nose indicates a more refined intimate anatomy is rooted in both cultural beliefs and psychological tendencies. But as with all things, it's essential to approach this topic with an open mind and an understanding that no single physical trait can define a person's entire being. Each woman, with her unique features, offers far more than what we can deduce from a single characteristic like the size of her nose. Chapter 2. The meaning behind delicate hands. Throughout history, delicate hands in women have often been associated with elegance, grace, and refinement. Women with smaller, more delicate hands are frequently seen as embodying a sense of gentleness and femininity that goes beyond physical appearance. But some also believe that smaller, more delicate hands might be indicators of certain traits in other areas of the body, particularly in their intimate anatomy. While not backed by science, this idea continues to hold sway in various cultural beliefs and psychological folklore, reflecting humanity's ongoing fascination with the connection between different physical features. The Stoics, known for their ability to observe the natural world and human behavior, would likely have viewed hands not just as physical traits, but as symbols of one's interaction with life. Hands are the instruments through which we act upon the world, shape our environment, and express ourselves. From a Stoic perspective, smaller, more delicate hands might reflect a more subtle, controlled approach to life, perhaps a sign of careful restraint or mindfulness. But when it comes to interpreting body features, some have suggested that smaller hands could hint at more petite or refined body characteristics overall, including a smaller 6. This belief is rooted in the broader notion that smaller physical traits in one area of the body tend to correspond with similarly refined or delicate traits elsewhere. However, it's essential to approach these ideas with a sense of balance and caution. Physical traits like hand size are just one small piece of the puzzle that makes up an individual. While people are often tempted to draw connections between different aspects of a person's appearance, every woman is unique, and her hands may tell one story while other parts of her body tell another. It's crucial to avoid overgeneralizing or making assumptions based solely on appearance. Beyond physical traits, hands can also reveal a lot about a person's personality and temperament. Women with delicate hands might project a sense of gentility and reserve, but that doesn't necessarily mean they are timid or passive. Hands are also powerful tools of expression, communicating everything from assertiveness to sensuality through subtle gestures. Whether a woman is more hands-on and active or prefers a softer, more reserved approach to life, her hands are often the first to reveal her true nature. For a woman who hasn't experienced physical intimacy in a long time, her delicate hands might carry additional symbolic meaning. They may represent the restraint and control she's practiced over time, a sign of the careful boundaries she's maintained. Her hands may show the tension between desire and caution, between longing for connection and the need to maintain her personal space. Pay attention to how she uses her hands in your interactions. Whether she's more open and expressive or keeps them close to her body may give you insight into her comfort level and her emotional state. At the same time, be mindful of the small, often unnoticed ways that hands can communicate a woman's desires or hesitations. A slight touch on your arm, a brush of her fingers against yours, or even the way she holds an object can reveal much more than words ever could. In some cases, a woman might unconsciously express her attraction or interest through these small, delicate gestures. The Stoics would remind us to be observant, but not to jump to conclusions. Hands, like any other physical feature, are a window into the soul, but they are not the whole story. A woman's delicate hands may indicate many things, from her physical makeup to her emotional world, but the key is to observe without making assumptions. Let her actions and words guide you, and remain attuned to the nuances of her body language. With patience and attentiveness, you can uncover the deeper layers of who she is, far beyond the surface-level traits that first catch your eye. In the end, delicate hands are just one part of the broader, more complex picture that makes up a woman's essence. While they may reveal subtle clues about her body or her inner self, it's essential to approach with sensitivity and understanding. Every woman is unique, and her hands, like her heart, will tell their story in their own time and in their own way. Chapter 3: Gap Teeth and Their Implications. There's something undeniably striking about a woman with gap teeth. While this distinct physical trait might seem like an unusual focal point for understanding other parts of the body, cultural beliefs and folklore have long associated gap teeth with certain intimate traits. Specifically, there has been a belief, persisting from ancient times into the present, that women with gap teeth often have smaller sixth areas, making this a topic of intrigue in many discussions about feminine features and body language. From a Stoic perspective, which values observation and reflection, every aspect of the human body can be seen as a potential reflection of one's inner self. The Stoics would have been curious about how gap teeth might fit into the broader narrative of understanding human characteristics. While they may not have endorsed the belief that gap teeth directly correlate to intimate anatomy, they would have appreciated the human instinct to find meaning in small details and seemingly unrelated traits. For them, gap teeth would have simply been another facet of a person's uniqueness, not necessarily tied to physical traits elsewhere. So, why have gap teeth been linked to smaller, intimate areas? This belief may stem from a broader cultural fascination with symmetry and proportion. In many societies, a perfectly aligned smile has been associated with conventional beauty. Gap teeth disrupt this typical alignment, creating a kind of imbalance that might lead some to speculate about others' misalignments or unique qualities in the body, including intimate anatomy. In this context, the idea of small is often associated with neatness, refinement, and control, qualities historically linked with femininity and attraction. From a psychological standpoint, gap teeth can evoke a sense of intrigue and fascination. It's a rare trait, and human nature often leads us to be drawn to what is unusual or unique. When encountering someone with gap teeth, the mind may begin to wonder if other parts of their body are similarly unique or possess uncommon characteristics. For some, this intrigue extends to the belief that a woman with gap teeth might also have a more delicate, smaller, intimate anatomy. This idea of connection between physical traits is rooted more in cultural mythology and psychological associations than in any scientific fact. Still, it highlights how human beings have long sought to draw connections between different physical attributes, trying to find patterns in the body. The Stoics, however, would remind us that while it's natural to look for meaning in these small details, we should avoid allowing assumptions to cloud our judgment. Every woman, regardless of whether she has gap teeth, is unique in her own right and should be appreciated for her individuality. In today's society, gap teeth have become a symbol of individuality and charm, embraced by many as part of their natural beauty. Women with gap teeth often flaunt them proudly, seeing them not as imperfections but as defining features of their appearance. The idea that gap teeth might suggest anything about intimate anatomy seems less relevant in modern discussions, where physical diversity is celebrated and where individuality is valued over conformity. Despite its roots in cultural curiosity, the belief that gap teeth correlate with smaller, intimate areas continues to capture the imagination of some. But it's important to remember that this connection is a product of myth and speculation rather than any scientific truth. What gap teeth truly symbolize today is individuality and confidence, traits that transcend physical appearance and speak to a woman's overall sense of self. At the end of the day, the supposed link between gap teeth and intimate anatomy remains an intriguing cultural idea, one of the many ways humans try to make sense of the body through its outward features. While it's easy to be fascinated by these associations, it's also essential to remember that the human body and the people it belongs to cannot be defined by any single trait. Just as a woman's smile, whether with gap teeth or not, tells only part of her story, so too do these beliefs offer just a small glimpse into our complex perceptions of femininity and sexuality. Chapter 4: The Impact of Cheek Structure. When it comes to the structure of a woman's cheeks, cultural beliefs have long suggested that women with fuller, rounder cheeks tend to have smaller, sixth areas. This idea, like many other body-related myths, has persisted through the ages, with people believing that certain facial features can offer insight into more intimate parts of the body. In various cultures, these associations continue to influence perceptions of femininity, beauty, and even sexuality, despite the lack of scientific backing. The Stoics, always keen to explore the relationships between body and mind, might have observed this connection with interest. For them, physical traits were not just markers of attractiveness, but symbols of a person's overall health and vitality. Fuller cheeks, in particular, have been associated with a youthful, fertile appearance. By extension, the idea that such women might have smaller, more refined intimate anatomy has taken root in popular belief. While this is certainly an oversimplification, it speaks to the deep-seated human desire to find meaning in physical features and to use these traits as indicators of other aspects of a person's being. There's no scientific basis for this correlation, but it reflects a larger psychological tendency to link physical features with certain ideals of femininity. Fuller cheeks give the impression of softness, which might translate into assumptions about a woman's intimate area being equally delicate or small. This idea is not limited to modern times. Historically, such beliefs have shaped everything from the idealized depictions of women in art and sculpture to societal expectations of beauty. The cultural belief that bigger cheeks mean smaller chicks is yet another example of how people use physical traits to draw broader conclusions about the body, often without any real evidence to support those conclusions. This belief also plays into society's ongoing fascination with symmetry and proportion. Fuller cheeks suggest a well-rounded, balanced face, and many assume that this balance might extend to the rest of the body. Women with larger cheeks might be seen as having a more compact, refined intimate area simply because we're wired to see balance in nature. Symmetry has long been associated with beauty, and this subconscious association between facial structure and body composition continues to influence how people perceive one another, especially when it comes to attractiveness and femininity. While these ideas are certainly intriguing, it's important to remember that every woman's body is unique. Just because a woman has fuller cheeks doesn't mean that her intimate anatomy will follow a particular pattern. The Stoics would remind us to observe without judgment, recognizing that beauty comes in many forms and that physical traits can only tell part of the story. They would likely argue that such beliefs are distractions from the more meaningful aspects of human connection, intellect, virtue, and character. After all, the Stoic approach to life emphasizes inequalities over external appearances. Psychologically, the link between fuller cheeks and smaller intimate areas might also stem from deeper societal norms. We've been conditioned to associate certain body shapes and facial features with specific characteristics. In this case, fuller cheeks are seen as soft, feminine, and controlled, leading to the assumption that these women have similarly refined features elsewhere on their bodies. These cultural assumptions often go unnoticed, yet they subtly shape our perceptions and expectations, influencing everything from dating preferences to self-esteem. Ultimately, the belief that fuller cheeks indicate a smaller intimate area is more of a cultural fascination than a scientific truth. But like many body-related myths, it continues to shape our understanding of beauty, femininity, and sexuality in subtle ways. Whether or not there's any validity to this idea, it offers an interesting glimpse into how we interpret the human body. This cultural lens highlights the ways in which physical appearance is intertwined with societal values and how these values continue to influence our thoughts, behaviors, and ideals of what makes someone attractive or desirable. Chapter 5: Slim Women and Body Composition. One of the most pervasive beliefs about women's bodies is that slim women tend to have smaller cheek areas. This idea, rooted in both cultural and psychological factors, suggests that a woman's overall body composition can give insight into her intimate anatomy. Specifically, the belief that slim women, with their lean frames and more compact figures, might also have smaller, more refined intimate areas has persisted through time. The Stoics, always mindful of the relationship between the body and the mind, would have been curious about this belief. For them, physical traits were seen as indicators of overall health, balance, and harmony. A slim woman's body, often associated with control and restraint, might lead to the assumption that other aspects of her physical anatomy are similarly compact and refined. Culturally, the idea that slim women have smaller intimate areas plays into broader societal norms about femininity and attraction. Slimness has long been associated with youth, vitality, and beauty, and many people assume that these traits extend to intimate anatomy. The leaner the frame, the smaller the intimate area. This belief continues to shape how we perceive women's bodies. Psychologically, this belief may also stem from our natural inclination to look for patterns and connections. A slim woman's body might be viewed as an example of efficiency and compactness, leading to the assumption that her intimate anatomy is similarly structured. The association between slimness and refinement extends beyond aesthetics and into how we think about intimate features. However, it's important to approach this belief with a degree of skepticism. While it might be tempting to make assumptions about a woman's intimate anatomy based on her overall body composition, the reality is far more complex. Every woman's body is unique, and slimness does not necessarily correlate with smaller intimate areas. In modern times, the cultural emphasis on slimness has been magnified by media and beauty standards. Slim women are often portrayed as the epitome of femininity, and this portrayal reinforces the belief that slim women are refined in every aspect, including their intimate anatomy. But as the Stoics would remind us, outward appearances can only tell part of the story. In the end, the idea that slim women have smaller intimate areas is more of a cultural assumption than a scientific truth. While it may offer an interesting perspective on body composition, it's essential to remember that every woman is unique and no single physical trait can define her overall essence or intimate anatomy. Chapter 6: Breast Size and Body Characteristics. In the world of body-related myths, one of the most frequently discussed topics is the relationship between breast size and other intimate aspects of a woman's body. Specifically, when a woman has small breasts, there's often a belief that she might also have a leaner, more compact frame, and this extends to assumptions about her intimate anatomy as well. A particularly common belief is that women with small breasts may also have smaller, tighter vaginas. While this concept has been passed down through generations, it remains more cultural lore than scientific fact. Stoic philosophers, who valued observation and self-control, might have approached this belief with a sense of curiosity but also caution. To the Stoics, the human body was a physical vessel, and while one's outer appearance could offer clues to one's health or habits, they would not have relied heavily on such assumptions. They would argue that true understanding of a person, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, comes from deeper interactions and observations rather than superficial traits like breast size. For them, focusing on external characteristics as a way to draw conclusions about intimate areas would miss the point of seeking a person's inner qualities and virtues. Nevertheless, the belief that smaller breasts might indicate a more compact intimate anatomy persists. This idea is likely linked to societal standards that associate small breasts with slimness, youth, and a more refined physique overall. Because women with small breasts often have leaner body frames, people extend this assumption to other areas of the body, including the intimate ones. In particular, there's a persistent idea that a woman with smaller breasts will have a tighter or more refined vagina, as if body proportions must follow a consistent, predictable pattern. From a psychological perspective, this belief might be rooted in the human tendency to connect body parts to form a cohesive image. Small breasts are often seen as a sign of femininity, but in a subtler, more understated way. In the same vein, a smaller, more delicate vagina is considered a reflection of that subtle femininity. The cultural fixation on size extends beyond breasts and into how people view women's intimate anatomy. These connections are not based in science, but rather in deep-seated cultural ideals about what it means to be feminine, and they persist because they align with long-standing stereotypes about women's bodies. One of the reasons this belief has endured is that society often equates larger body parts, whether breasts, hips, or thighs, with fertility and sensuality, while smaller body parts are seen as refined and controlled. Women with small breasts are frequently viewed as more reserved or less overtly sexual, which leads to the assumption that their intimate anatomy is similarly compact or restrained. This stereotype, however, doesn't necessarily hold up under scrutiny, as every woman's body is uniquely her own. No amount of external observation can accurately predict the specifics of someone's intimate features, and this is an area where myths tend to take precedence over reality. It's also worth noting how fashion and beauty standards have influenced these perceptions. Throughout history, different eras have favored different body types. In times when larger, curvier figures were in vogue, women with small breasts were often seen as lacking in femininity. In more modern times, where slim, Lean figures are idealized, small-breasted women are celebrated for their grace and elegance. But no matter the era, the association between small breasts and smaller intimate anatomy remains a common assumption. The fashion industry, media, and even social circles all play a part in reinforcing these ideas, even when there's no basis for them. At the end of the day, the Stoic approach would remind us that we cannot fully understand someone's character or physicality based solely on outward traits like breast size. While these beliefs may persist, they don't reflect the complexity of the human body. A woman with small breasts is no less feminine, sensual, or vital than one with a larger chest. These physical traits, though often the focus of attention, are just one aspect of who she is. The Stoics would encourage a mindset of detachment from such superficial judgments, urging us to appreciate the full spectrum of human beauty without placing undue importance on isolated features. This brings us to the core message. While society often draws connections between breast size and other intimate features, these assumptions are built more on cultural preferences than any inherent truths. The Stoics would encourage us to rise above such superficial judgments and recognize that a woman's true essence cannot be fully understood by merely focusing on her physical form. Each person's body is a complex and individual expression of their unique life, and reducing it to mere stereotypes diminishes the depth of who they are. Chapter 7: Understanding the B-leg and its correlation. In the ongoing search to make sense of the human body, another feature that has drawn considerable attention is the so-called B-legged structure. This term refers to the specific shape and alignment of a woman's legs, where there's a subtle outward curve, creating a B shape when viewed from the front or side. While not widely discussed, those who adhere to body-related myths suggest that women with this leg structure tend to have smaller sex or intimate areas, much like other physical traits discussed in previous chapters. The Stoics, ever observant and detail-oriented, would likely have been fascinated by such notions. They believed that the body could offer clues to a person's inner state, but they also cautioned against making surface-level judgments. In the case of the B-leg, the Stoics would probably acknowledge that while this might be an interesting feature, it's not necessarily an indication of deeper truths about a woman's body or intimate anatomy. However, the idea that a woman with B-legs might have a smaller intimate area stems from the same psychological tendencies that drive other body-related beliefs. Just as people look to small noses, gap teeth, or slim figures as indicators of a woman's physical characteristics, the B-leg structure has become another point of focus. This belief plays into broader societal ideas about symmetry, proportion, and balance. A woman with B-legs, which suggests a certain refinement and delicacy in the lower body, is thought to have a similarly refined intimate area. While this belief may be more rooted in cultural preferences than in biology, it reflects our deep-seated desire to find patterns in the human form. We like to think that certain features, like a woman's legs, can reveal broader truths about her entire body. The B-leg, with its elegant curvature, becomes a symbol of feminine refinement, and this concept carries over to assumptions about intimate anatomy. There's also a psychological aspect to this belief that's worth exploring. Women with B-legs are often seen as more graceful and poised in their movement. This sense of grace is tied to the belief that their bodies are compact, controlled, and proportionate. In turn, this fuels the assumption that their intimate anatomy is similarly structured. It's important to remember, however, that these connections between leg structure and intimate anatomy are largely speculative. There's no scientific evidence to suggest that women with B-legs are more likely to have smaller intimate areas than those with different leg shapes. But like many body-related myths, the idea persists because it plays into our desire to categorize and understand the human body in simple, visual ways. From a Stoic perspective, it would be wiser to focus on the overall health, strength, and vitality of the body rather than getting caught up in narrow physical traits like the B-leg. While it's tempting to draw conclusions from these visible markers, they do not tell the full story of a woman's body or her intimate areas. Ultimately, the connection between bee legs and smaller intimate anatomy is another example of how we try to make sense of the human form through patterns and physical clues. While the idea may be intriguing, it's essential to approach such beliefs with a critical eye and remember that every woman's body is unique and cannot be reduced to simplistic formulas or assumptions. The Stoics would remind us that true understanding comes from looking beyond appearances and recognizing the deeper complexities of the human experience. As we come to the end of this episode, it's clear that the human body, and women's bodies in particular, carry a wealth of meaning, both in terms of how we view them and how we interpret various physical traits. From small noses to breast size, leg structure, and everything in between, society has long tried to draw connections between external characteristics and intimate anatomy. But as we've explored these beliefs, it's important to recognize that these connections are often based on cultural assumptions, not scientific truths. The Stoics, with their deep understanding of human nature and behavior, would remind us to observe carefully, but never to judge too quickly. They believed that true wisdom comes from understanding the whole, not just the parts. A woman's body is complex and multifaceted, and every trait, whether large or small, is part of a broader narrative of who she is. As tempting as it is to reduce someone to a set of physical features or myths, we must remember that every woman is unique, and no amount of analysis can capture the full depth of her personhood. The beliefs and body-related myths we discussed today may be fascinating, but they are not the ultimate truths. Instead, they serve as reminders of our shared human tendency to seek patterns and meaning where, sometimes, none exist. So, what can we take from all of this? A deeper appreciation for the individuality of women's bodies and a reminder to approach such topics with both curiosity and respect. Whether a woman has small breasts, gap teeth, bee legs, or any other distinguishing feature, these are just parts of her physical form, not the entirety of who she is. The Stoics would tell us to focus on what lies beneath the surface, to value character and inner strength above all else. As we conclude, I encourage you to think critically about the ideas we've discussed today. Remember to observe, but also to question. Look beyond superficial traits and appreciate the full complexity of the women in your life. And, of course, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. If you have any personal stories or insights related to this topic, we'd love to hear them. Let's keep the conversation going, because understanding the human body, both inside and out, is a journey that never ends. Thank you for watching, and until next time, take care of yourselves and those around you. The Stoics, throughout their long and thoughtful lives, mastered the art of human observation and psychology, particularly in understanding the complexities of relationships. They knew when to engage and, more importantly, when to step back. In this episode, we'll explore 7 types of women you should avoid becoming romantically involved with, based on psychological insights. Make sure to watch till the end, like, subscribe, and share your story in the comments below if you've encountered any of these situations. Let's dive in. Chapter 1: Women interested in other women. One type of woman you should carefully consider avoiding sexual encounters with is one who shows a clear attraction toward other women. While it's essential to respect all sexual orientations and preferences, it's also crucial to recognize when a woman's primary romantic or sexual focus may not be on you. Female psychology, particularly when it comes to sexual preferences, is often complex and multifaceted. A woman who identifies as being attracted to women may not be seeking the kind of fulfillment that you, as a man, can provide. In such cases, the likelihood of emotional disconnection, dissatisfaction, or confusion increases for both partners. From a Stoic perspective, self-awareness and understanding the true nature of your relationships are foundational for living in alignment with one's principles. The Stoics advocated for rational thinking, which involves recognizing the dynamics at play without becoming overwhelmed by emotions or expectations. If a woman's attraction is oriented toward other women, this may not only suggest a lack of emotional investment in a romantic or sexual relationship with you, but could also mean she is not inclined to fully commit to your relationship in the long run. This doesn't mean that she is inherently deceptive or untrustworthy, but rather that her emotional and physical needs may lie elsewhere. Women who are primarily interested in other women often have emotional and sexual desires that simply cannot be fulfilled by a male partner. This isn't about your worth as a man, but about acknowledging the limitations inherent in such a mismatch of sexual orientation. Attempting to pursue or maintain a relationship under these circumstances can lead to significant strain. You may find yourself constantly vying for her attention or struggling to fulfill needs that are not within your capacity to meet. This type of situation can lead to frustration, confusion, and even feelings of inadequacy as you realize that her desires may lie elsewhere. A relationship with a woman who is interested in other women can also bring long-term emotional challenges. Suppose she is still uncertain about her sexual orientation or exploring her preferences. In that case, you might inadvertently become a temporary figure in her journey to self-discovery. While it's entirely possible for people to shift their orientations and preferences over time, it's also possible that she may end up seeking fulfillment through relationships with women, leaving you feeling used or emotionally drained as she moves forward. This can lead to heartache, especially if you've emotionally invested in the relationship only to discover that her desires or needs cannot be reciprocated. Another issue that arises in this kind of dynamic is the potential for broken trust or a lack of emotional intimacy. When a woman's primary attraction is directed toward other women, the bond that might have existed between you may become strained. Trust can be difficult to maintain when one partner is seeking connection outside the relationship, even if those connections are emotional rather than physical. Over time, this lack of fulfillment can erode the foundation of intimacy and trust that a healthy relationship requires. As a result, you may end up feeling increasingly disconnected from her, even if no explicit betrayal has occurred. It's important to be mindful of the emotional toll this dynamic can take. Constantly feeling as though you're not fully meeting her needs can wear down your self-esteem and leave you questioning your own desirability and worth. Emotional distress often accompanies these situations, as you may feel inadequate despite your efforts to build a deep connection. The emotional drain of trying to fulfill desires that cannot be met can weigh heavily on your mental health, leading to anxiety, frustration, and a sense of being unappreciated or unwanted. The Stoics, who valued reason over emotion, would counsel you to take a step back and examine the situation with clarity. They would urge you to assess the dynamics of the relationship without letting your feelings cloud your judgment. If the relationship isn't aligned with your emotional and physical needs, it's essential to make decisions based on logic and self-respect rather than emotional attachment. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus often taught the importance of understanding what is within your control and what is not. In this case, her sexual orientation is entirely beyond your control, and trying to force a connection that doesn't naturally exist can only lead to further pain. Understanding a woman's sexual orientation and desires is key to making rational choices about your relationship. While it's entirely possible for two people of different orientations to have fulfilling relationships, both parties need to be emotionally and physically satisfied in the dynamic. If her primary attraction is to women, you may be better off redirecting your time, energy, and emotional investment toward a relationship that is more likely to meet your needs and desires. Doing so will allow you to foster a connection that aligns with your emotional and physical well-being, rather than one fraught with misaligned expectations and unfulfilled desires. In conclusion, while it's important to remain open-minded and understanding, a relationship with a woman who shows a clear preference for other women may not be in your best interest. Recognizing this early on can save you from unnecessary emotional turmoil and help you invest in relationships that are healthier and more aligned with your values. The Stoics would remind you to act with reason, observe the dynamics at play, and move forward with clarity and wisdom, ensuring that your emotional well-being is protected. Chapter 2: Women with a history of being in paid intimate relationships. Another type of woman you should approach with caution when considering intimate encounters is one who has a history of being involved in paid intimate relationships. While people can indeed change and move on from their pasts, this type of background could present potential challenges in building a long-term, emotionally secure relationship. The Stoics believed in the value of self-awareness and making decisions that align with our higher sense of purpose and well-being. Applying these principles to relationships can help you avoid situations where trust, loyalty, and emotional stability may be compromised. There's no denying that everyone has the right to make their own choices, especially when it comes to their career paths and lifestyles. However, when a woman has been involved in paid intimate work, it's important to recognize the potential for emotional baggage that could complicate a future relationship. While some women may leave that lifestyle behind and build healthy, committed relationships, others may carry unresolved issues or emotional barriers that make building trust more difficult. One of the biggest challenges in these relationships is the potential for trust issues to arise. Paid intimate work often involves detachment from emotional intimacy, as the focus is on physical interaction rather than genuine emotional connection. If this detachment becomes ingrained, it may be hard for her to build a deep emotional bond in a personal relationship. Trust is one of the most critical elements in any intimate relationship, and if it's constantly in question, it could lead to feelings of insecurity and doubt. Another concern is the possible influence of her past lifestyle on your relationship's future. There's always a chance that old habits, emotional patterns, or even acquaintances from her previous work life might resurface, creating complications. This could make it difficult for you to feel fully secure in the relationship. The Stoics would encourage you to focus on long-term emotional fulfillment and stability, advising you to avoid situations where your peace of mind is frequently disrupted by concerns about her past. A relationship with a woman who has been involved in this kind of work might also present societal challenges. While modern attitudes toward such professions have become more accepting, there are still stigmas that may affect how others perceive your relationship. This external judgment can place additional strain on the relationship, especially if friends, family, or colleagues express disapproval or concern. The pressure from these outside sources could further complicate an already delicate situation, making it harder for the relationship to thrive. Ultimately, the Stoic approach would be to make decisions based on reason rather than emotions. If her past creates too many challenges for you to feel comfortable and secure in the relationship, it's essential to be honest with yourself and with her. Everyone deserves respect, but you also deserve a relationship where trust, emotional intimacy, and stability are not constantly at risk. By being mindful of the dynamics that might arise from her history, you can make a more informed decision about whether to pursue or avoid a deeper connection. Chapter 3: Women who engage in unconventional intimate activities. Women with a history of engaging in unconventional or highly experimental intimate activities may introduce a dynamic in a relationship that requires careful consideration. While it's important to approach every person's preferences and boundaries with respect, being in a relationship with someone whose intimate experiences significantly diverge from your own can lead to challenges, especially if these activities are at odds with your values, comfort level, or expectations for the relationship. The Stoics were strong advocates for living in accordance with one's principles and values. In relationships, this translates to the idea that peace of mind and emotional well-being are achieved when both partners share similar perspectives and desires. When a woman's intimate past includes unconventional activities that don't align with your lifestyle or values, it could create internal conflict, leading to discomfort, unease, or even resentment over time. For some men, a partner with an extensive history of unconventional experiences can provoke concerns about compatibility, trust, or self-esteem. These concerns are not always about judging someone's past, but rather about questioning whether your own needs and desires will be fully met in the relationship. You might find yourself wondering whether her previous experiences set a precedent that could influence her expectations, potentially leading to mismatched desires. Moreover, if her past is well known within your social circles, you could face questions or judgment from others, which could impact your confidence and how you view the relationship. Another potential issue that arises in such relationships is the sense of inadequacy or insecurity. If her experiences are far more diverse, experimental, or adventurous than yours, you might begin to doubt whether you can meet her needs or if she is subtly comparing you to past partners. This internalized pressure can weigh heavily on the relationship, undermining trust and mutual respect, which are essential for building a stable and fulfilling partnership. The Stoics would remind you that the only thing within your control is your response and perspective, but these feelings of insecurity can nonetheless take a toll on your emotional state and your relationship's long-term viability. A significant element of concern in this dynamic revolves around open communication and boundaries. From a Stoic standpoint, it's crucial to engage in honest conversations with your partner about your boundaries, values, and mutual expectations. If her unconventional past or present activities cause you stress or discomfort, discussing these feelings can help clarify where you both stand and whether adjustments can be made. The Stoics, ever practical, would emphasize that the key to maintaining inner peace is ensuring that your relationships align with your values, without compromising your integrity or sacrificing emotional well-being. Additionally, being in a relationship with someone whose past involves activities outside of your comfort zone may lead to conflict over what each partner wants in terms of lifestyle and relationship dynamics. Mismatched desires can create emotional strain and friction, making it difficult to find a harmonious balance. It's important to be mindful of how much emotional and mental energy you're investing in trying to adapt to these differences. Relationships built on incompatible values or preferences are often fraught with tension and may struggle to thrive over time. When these discrepancies start to cause strain, the Stoic response would be to reassess the situation thoughtfully and rationally. They teach that while we should respect others' choices, it is equally essential to prioritize our own mental clarity and peace. If you find that her past or current interests in unconventional activities lead to ongoing discomfort or internal conflict, it might be worth considering whether continuing the relationship is in your best interest. It's not about judgment, but about ensuring that your emotional well-being remains intact and that you remain true to your principles. Furthermore, the impact of a partner's unconventional intimate history is not just about personal discomfort. There's also the potential for long-term relational challenges. Over time, mismatched values or unmet expectations can lead to frustration, distance, or a lack of emotional fulfillment. Even if you manage to suppress initial discomfort, it could resurface later in the relationship, particularly during moments of vulnerability or uncertainty. If her unconventional history consistently leads to emotional stress, you might begin questioning the relationship's longevity and whether it's sustainable in the long run. Lastly, Stoic philosophy teaches that peace of mind and emotional clarity should always be the foundation of your decisions in relationships. In this context, it's essential to evaluate whether engaging in a relationship with someone whose past is at odds with your values will bring long-term fulfillment or lead to emotional turmoil. The Stoics would advocate for focusing on what is within your control, your thoughts, responses, and choices, and if you find that a relationship consistently brings conflict rather than peace, the wise choice may be to step away to protect your emotional and mental well-being. In conclusion, relationships that involve significant differences in values or intimate histories may require deeper reflection and careful communication. If her past or present behavior causes discomfort or stress, it's important to weigh whether this dynamic aligns with your long-term goals for personal and emotional fulfillment. The Stoics would encourage you to make decisions that preserve your inner peace and uphold your values, ensuring that the relationships you choose to engage in contribute positively to your overall well-being. Chapter 4: Women who are emotionally unavailable. Emotional availability is the foundation of any healthy and fulfilling relationship. Engaging with a woman who is emotionally unavailable can lead to a cycle of frustration, confusion, and disappointment. Whether it's due to past trauma, unresolved emotional baggage, or simply an unwillingness to be vulnerable, emotional unavailability creates a barrier that makes meaningful connection almost impossible. From a Stoic viewpoint, clarity and emotional balance are essential in relationships. The Stoics understood the importance of being in harmony with one's emotional needs and desires, and they would urge you to reflect on whether the relationship serves your emotional well-being. When a woman is emotionally unavailable, it can feel like you're pouring energy into a situation that is not reciprocal, leading to an emotional void where connection should thrive. One common indicator of emotional unavailability is the reluctance to engage in deep conversations or share personal experiences. If a woman avoids talking about her feelings, her past, or her dreams, this might be a red flag that she's not ready or willing to open up and form an authentic emotional bond. This reluctance creates a surface-level dynamic that prevents the relationship from evolving into something meaningful, leaving both partners dissatisfied in the long run. Inconsistent behavior is another telltale sign of emotional unavailability. She might appear deeply interested and engaged one day, only to withdraw or become distant the next, leaving you confused and unsure about where you stand. This hot and cold dynamic can be mentally and emotionally exhausting, as you constantly find yourself trying to interpret mixed signals or predict her next move. Over time, this inconsistency erodes trust and makes it difficult to establish emotional intimacy. For the Stoics, the answer is clear: seek out relationships that bring peace, clarity, and emotional stability. Pursuing connections with someone who isn't able to meet your emotional needs will likely lead to ongoing stress and disillusionment. Stoic philosophy encourages self-reflection and emotional detachment from situations that bring turmoil, and emotional unavailability is a prime example of such a situation. Another challenge with emotionally unavailable women is the emotional distance they maintain even during moments that should feel close or intimate. This emotional distance may manifest in a lack of affection or a seeming inability to offer comfort and support during difficult times. You may find yourself feeling alone even when you're physically together, which can create a painful sense of isolation in the relationship. Emotional unavailability can also stem from unresolved issues in her past. If she's been hurt in previous relationships, she may have built emotional walls as a form of self-protection. While it's natural to want to help someone heal, you can't force someone to open up before they are ready. Often, these walls are not easily dismantled, and waiting for them to come down can lead to frustration and a feeling of helplessness. Stoic wisdom would remind you to focus on what is within your control. If you find that her emotional unavailability is affecting your own emotional health, it may be time to consider whether continuing the relationship is worth the strain. You can't change someone else's readiness for emotional connection, and constantly trying to break through her walls may leave you emotionally drained. In the end, the Stoics would advise that you protect your own emotional well-being by walking away from situations that don't serve you. Finally, it's important to recognize that emotional unavailability can be contagious. If you remain in a relationship with someone who consistently shuts down emotionally, you might begin to mirror this behavior, becoming emotionally distant or guarded yourself. This can erode your ability to be open and vulnerable in future relationships, perpetuating a cycle of emotional unavailability that affects your long-term happiness and personal growth. In conclusion, the Stoic approach would be to prioritize emotional health, stability, and clarity. If a woman's emotional unavailability is causing confusion, heartache, or frustration, it's important to step back and reassess the situation. You deserve to be in a relationship where both partners are emotionally present and capable of building a deep, meaningful connection. Pursuing relationships where emotional balance is absent will only lead to disappointment and exhaustion. By recognizing the signs early and making decisions that honor your emotional needs, you can avoid the pitfalls of emotionally unavailable relationships and focus on creating a connection that truly nurtures your soul. Chapter 5: Women with a history of serial relationships. Women who frequently jump from one relationship to the next without allowing time for personal growth or reflection may present a significant red flag, especially when considering a deeper connection. A pattern of serial relationships can suggest an avoidance of emotional depth, as the constant search for new partners might hinder the ability to form meaningful, long-term bonds. This cycle of fleeting connections may also reflect a lack of emotional maturity or an unwillingness to confront deeper personal issues. From a Stoic perspective, self-reflection and inner growth are crucial components of any healthy relationship. The Stoics believed that in order to engage fully in a relationship, a person needs to first understand themselves and process their past experiences. If a woman has a history of quickly moving from one relationship to another without taking the necessary time to heal or learn from her past, it could indicate unresolved emotional issues. Engaging with someone who hasn't taken this time can lead to a shallow connection, where true intimacy and trust are nearly impossible to cultivate. Serial relationships can often stem from a deeper fear of being alone or a need for external validation. If a woman is constantly seeking new partners, it might be a sign that she struggles with her sense of self-worth and relies on relationships to fill that void. This dynamic can place undue pressure on you to meet emotional needs that only she can address through her own journey of personal growth and self-awareness. Without that inner work, the relationship may become unbalanced, with you being expected to compensate for emotional gaps that are beyond your control. Furthermore, a history of serial relationships can signify that someone is not fully comfortable being alone. Rather than confronting the emotions that come with solitude, such as self-reflection or the need for personal development, she may use relationships as a form of distraction. The Stoics would argue that solitude is an essential phase for personal growth. By avoiding this, someone might prevent themselves from growing emotionally and mentally, which, in turn, hinders their ability to foster meaningful connections with others. Another issue with serial relationships is the potential for a lack of emotional stability. When someone is continually in and out of relationships, they may not have developed the emotional resilience needed to cope with the challenges that come with long-term commitment. This could lead to a situation where she seeks the excitement of new connections but becomes distant or disengaged once the novelty fades. This emotional volatility can create a rollercoaster effect in the relationship, making it hard to establish a solid foundation of trust and mutual understanding. In many cases, women with a pattern of serial relationships may also have difficulty forming deep emotional bonds. The frequent change in partners can make it hard for someone to truly invest in a relationship, as they may be more focused on the thrill of something new rather than nurturing a long-lasting connection. This could result in a lack of emotional depth, where the relationship feels more like a temporary distraction rather than a meaningful partnership. For the Stoics, building a meaningful relationship requires emotional stability, a willingness to grow, and a deep understanding of oneself. If a woman's history of serial relationships indicates a lack of emotional maturity or readiness for a deeper connection, it's important to evaluate whether this relationship aligns with your long-term goals and values. The Stoics believed in pursuing what is good for the soul and avoiding situations that lead to unnecessary turmoil. A relationship with someone who hasn't taken the time for personal growth could bring more confusion and emotional strain than fulfillment. Additionally, the impact of serial relationships extends beyond emotional depth. It can also create a sense of insecurity within the relationship. If a woman has a history of jumping from one partner to another, you may find yourself questioning her level of commitment or whether she is truly invested in building a future together. This insecurity can create tension, leading to a lack of trust and, ultimately, a breakdown in communication. From a Stoic viewpoint, maintaining inner peace and emotional stability is key to a fulfilling life. If a woman's history of serial relationships is causing you to feel uncertain or emotionally unstable, it might be a sign that the relationship is not aligned with your values or long-term aspirations. Stoicism teaches the importance of recognizing when a situation is causing more harm than good and having the wisdom and courage to step away when necessary. Finally, it's essential to recognize that serial relationships can prevent both partners from experiencing the deep emotional connection that comes from a committed and stable relationship. The Stoics believed in pursuing relationships that enhance personal growth and mutual understanding, not those that bring fleeting pleasure or distraction. If a woman's pattern of jumping from one relationship to the next suggests a reluctance to invest in long-term emotional growth, it's worth considering whether this is the kind of partnership you want to pursue. In conclusion, the Stoic approach would emphasize the importance of seeking relationships that nurture your emotional well-being and allow for mutual growth. If a woman's history of serial relationships is causing concern, take the time to reflect on whether this connection aligns with your values and long-term goals. By doing so, you can avoid the pitfalls of an unstable relationship and instead focus on building a meaningful, lasting bond with someone who is emotionally available and ready to invest in the future. Chapter 6: Women who are addicted to drama. Another type of woman to avoid engaging in sexual encounters with is someone who is addicted to drama. This refers to women who constantly seem to find themselves at the center of conflict, chaos, and emotional upheaval. While this kind of behavior can sometimes be exciting in the short term, over time, it tends to erode trust and stability in a relationship, making it difficult to build anything meaningful. The Stoics believed deeply in the power of tranquility and peace of mind. If a woman thrives on drama, she may be pulling you into a cycle of stress and emotional turbulence that will negatively affect your well-being. Engaging in a relationship with someone who always needs excitement or conflict can drain your energy and create an environment of constant instability, where your emotional needs are secondary to the constant whirlwind of chaos. Women addicted to drama often exhibit signs of creating problems where none exist or escalating small issues into larger conflicts. This kind of emotional volatility can leave you feeling constantly on edge, never knowing when the next outburst or conflict will occur. You might find yourself walking on eggshells, trying to avoid triggering her, which leads to a relationship based on fear rather than trust and mutual respect. Drama-seeking behavior often stems from unresolved emotional issues or an underlying need for attention. These women may have difficulty coping with calm or quiet in a relationship, and as a result, they create situations that bring about heightened emotions, whether positive or negative. While this might be exciting in the beginning, it can quickly become exhausting and mentally taxing. Over time, the relationship may feel more like a roller coaster than a secure, stable partnership. Another factor to consider is how this constant drama affects your social life and reputation. If she's causing public scenes, stirring up conflict with friends or family, or spreading rumors, it could impact not just your relationship with her, but your overall sense of well-being and standing within your community. The Stoics would advise stepping back from such relationships as they disrupt the harmony and inner peace essential for living a fulfilling life. For a healthy, long-term relationship, emotional maturity is key. If a woman is addicted to drama, she may lack the ability to navigate emotional challenges calmly and constructively. Instead, she may resort to conflict or manipulation to get her way, which will likely lead to a toxic dynamic where true intimacy and trust are impossible to maintain. The Stoics would remind us to seek relationships that nurture tranquility and personal growth, not ones that constantly challenge our emotional balance. Ultimately, relationships with women who are addicted to drama rarely end well. The constant cycle of conflict, emotional highs and lows, and instability can be incredibly draining, leaving you feeling emotionally spent and unable to focus on what truly matters in life. By recognizing these patterns early and stepping away from them, you can save yourself from the emotional toll of being pulled into a never-ending loop of chaos and conflict. Chapter 7: Women who disrespect boundaries. One of the most crucial red flags to be mindful of is when a woman consistently disrespects your boundaries. Boundaries are the foundation of any healthy relationship, and a woman who refuses to acknowledge or respect them is someone who could cause significant emotional harm. Whether it's disregarding your personal space, pushing you into situations you're uncomfortable with, or constantly crossing lines you've set, a lack of respect for boundaries is a major issue. The Stoics emphasized the importance of self-respect and knowing your own limits. If a woman repeatedly disrespects your boundaries, it's a sign that she either doesn't value your feelings or is attempting to manipulate or control the relationship. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and an understanding of each other's emotional and physical needs. If a woman shows no regard for these, it can lead to feelings of frustration, resentment, and even a loss of identity. Boundary violations can manifest in a variety of ways. For some women, it might mean ignoring your need for space or alone time. For others, it might be emotional manipulation, where they try to guilt you into doing things that make you uncomfortable or cross emotional lines. In more extreme cases, this could even involve pressuring you into intimate encounters before you're ready or ignoring your emotional signals altogether. Regardless of the form it takes, boundary violations create an unhealthy power dynamic that makes a meaningful connection difficult to achieve. Another challenge with women who disrespect boundaries is the long-term emotional toll. When you're constantly defending your needs or fighting to maintain your personal space, it can become exhausting. Over time, this can lead to feelings of resentment or even burnout, where you're no longer emotionally capable of investing in the relationship. The Stoics would advise you to protect your emotional well-being by stepping away from such relationships and focusing on those that bring peace and harmony into your life. Women who disrespect boundaries may also exhibit controlling behaviors. They might try to dictate where you go, who you spend time with, or even what you think or feel. This kind of control erodes your sense of autonomy and can lead to feelings of entrapment. The Stoics valued freedom, both physical and emotional, and would encourage you to avoid relationships where your individuality is compromised. In many cases, women who disrespect boundaries may not even realize the harm they're causing, especially if they've never been held accountable for their behavior. However, it's not your responsibility to fix or change someone else's behavior. Your priority should be your own emotional health and well-being. If a woman is unwilling to respect your boundaries, the relationship is likely to be fraught with conflict and tension, making it impossible to build a stable, trusting connection. The Stoic philosophy teaches us to recognize our own worth and not tolerate behavior that diminishes our sense of self-respect. Boundaries are essential in any relationship, and when they're consistently disrespected, it's a clear signal that the relationship may not be worth pursuing. By stepping away from women who fail to respect your limits, you protect your emotional well-being and ensure that future relationships are built on mutual respect and understanding. As we come to the end of this episode, it's clear that recognizing the right dynamics in relationships is crucial for your emotional and mental well-being. The Stoics taught us the importance of rational thinking, self-respect, and maintaining inner peace. In relationships, it's essential to be mindful of the red flags that can disrupt your tranquility and personal growth. The 7 types of women we've discussed are not about labeling or judging, but about making sure you protect yourself from emotional chaos, manipulation, or instability. Always prioritize your boundaries, your emotional health, and your values in any relationship. Remember, building healthy, lasting relationships takes effort, self-awareness, and, most importantly, a partner who respects and understands you. The Stoics would remind you to stay true to your principles and avoid unnecessary drama that can pull you away from the life you want to live. If you found this video insightful, be sure to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you had experiences with any of these types of women? Share your story. And don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on more videos like this. Thanks for watching. and see you next time.